Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Bryce of Reason, and with me, as always, is my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
Oh, it's going. I'm glad to be here. Had some fun earlier talking about the Stargate pilot
That was very
on the
all
last
over the
show.
place.
Yes.
Rebecca
Oh, yeah.
Gold.
We it was bouncing around a lot. Yeah.
Okay, Rebecca Gold, where are you? Because we're talking about Disclosure Day, and
Oh, yes.
did you see it, by the way?
I did. Yes.
Oh, wow. This is
Prepare for
Oh.
3 minutes of talking about this because that's about all there is
Okay.
to discuss. No, if Ian is wants to hop in and we can talk about it, that would be.
I wrote to
fantastic.
Ian that he
Yeah.
should join us, and I sent him a link. I don't know if he does or if he doesn't, but he's very welcome. This is
Yes.
certainly going to be fun. Not the movie, but us talking about the movie. I suspect.
Not the movie.
No.
Sadly, no.
Man. The thing is that I never. Let's put it this way. I saw the commercials for it, and I had this kind of sneaky suspicion that this is not going to be a very good movie. But I thought to myself, maybe it'll just be kind of an old school throwback by the numbers. Maybe it won't be saying anything new, and it'll just be serviceable enough. I thought to myself, maybe just serviceable enough, but kind of underwhelming. And honestly, that would have been like the best case scenario compared to what we got, in my opinion. Meaning, I personally didn't even feel like it was serviceable enough. If you know what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah. Man, I don't even know what.
This is tough.
It was a real mess of a movie. While there were some things here and there that I thought were some really interesting concepts and some ideas about, how would we approach, what would disclosure mean? What would that mean to different people and different groups, and how exactly would that happen? And would it be something that's that happens organically or is forced upon us, and what would that mean for so many different people? But oh boy, it was not a particularly wonderful experience. Oh, and I see looks like Ian's gonna hop in here with us, so that's wonderful.
Well, that is wonderful. And
Mega Geek.
And then
Probably getting his mic ready.
I'm gonna prepare.
Hello.
I'm gonna prepare his graphic.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
All right. Okay. Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Okay. So
Morning.
this is really a special occasion here because we have Mega Geek who saw an early screening of this. The professor and I have seen it, and now all three of us have seen Disclosure Day. And before you arrived, I was telling a professor that from the get-go, I didn't have a good feeling about this movie, even with the trailers, even when I heard about it, and also thinking that perhaps, Spielberg is not, I don't want to say old or anything like that, but he's not 20, you know what I mean? So I thought to myself, foolishly, I thought it's probably not going to be his best movie, but he's Spielberg, so maybe it'll be just like kind of serviceable enough, like a decent but forgettable movie. What ended up for me happening is that I sat there and thought to myself, in many respects, that it was, I maybe I'd stop short of saying a disaster, but it was pretty bad.
It was very bad as far as I
Yes.
was concerned.
It
It's a
was very
shame.
bad. I mean, let's start with the movie, the way it starts. Now, I just want to tell you something, and I always tell this to Professor. When I sit in a theater or something and I watch a movie and I start and I feel like going to sleep, like my brain starts trying to make me go to sleep, that means there's something that's really bothering me about the movie. I think that when in the first like 15 minutes, there were 3 instances like this that I felt like going to sleep, and I'm 15 minutes into the movie. I'm like, man, this is not. What is this? It's all over the place. It's not working for me. You know what I mean? Like it's not capturing me. It's not drawing me in. The whole beginning bored me. You know what I mean? Like I don't. Like, it's just. there's nothing interesting. It feels like a movie without a plan. I don't really know how to explain it. Like something didn't feel right to me right away. But I told myself you can't review a movie if you're not gonna, you gotta be focused and pay attention, or else you can't do like a good review. And I really had to, probably for like 2 hours and something. It's a very long movie. I felt suffering like that. Like it really annoyed me. It was like I thought that the storytelling was really crappy.
Yeah, the thing about this film for me was that it wasn't, as far as I was concerned, it wasn't a Spielberg movie. Now let's talk about how it started. It started like a TV show. Now, if you look at Close Encounters, you have the credits and you have this ominous music, and then suddenly, bang, you're in there and there's a big sandstorm and a car pulls up, and then he has that transition between Bob Balaban's character to the airport, which is a great transition. In this film, you have nothing like that at all. When you watch Spielberg's films, they're very cinematic. You have huge special effects, you have huge shots, wide shots, whatever. You had none of this in this film at all. It was directed very it was directed like A to B shots. There were some nice composed shots with people, but none of it was Spielberg that I know. That's why I was so disappointed with the film. Plus, the script was awful. There was logic holes everywhere. Are we giving?
Awful the script.
Yeah. If we giving out spoilers here, or are we avoiding that?
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb here and say this really is. There isn't much to spoil here.
Yeah.
I don't feel like if this is a good movie, there have been situations that it's a good movie, and I feel a responsibility that I'm like, I don't want to give too much because they should really go check this out. In this case, I honestly feel like I'd be doing them a favor by just saying what happens in the movie, because I hate to say it because I like Steven Spielberg so much, but this movie, if you're expecting like a Spielberg type of experience, you're not, in my opinion, you're not going to get this from this movie. The screenplay is the worst screenplay he's ever been attached to. And what I was saying, what I was saying at the end of the movie when I got up and left, I said to myself, I thought about what you said, Mega Geek. You said that you watched the movie and you thought maybe he's lost his spark. Maybe it's time for him to, stop doing this. And for me, I thought of that sentence you said, but two, what the biggest problem is? He's not just the director. He's Steven Spielberg. He's a director producer here. Now, the fact that he made this movie, he got the screenplay and he said, yes, this is the screenplay. I'm going to film this now. The fact that he didn't step in to his own movie and say, hey, this isn't up to code. This screenplay isn't strong enough. We need a different screenplay. I think that 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, Spielberg would never start filming the screenplay. He'd be like, give me another draft. This thing is shitty. Or like you say, it's shit. So he'd say, we're not filming this. We're not filming this. And no, he actually took it and filmed it. If he took it and filmed it, he's not the same Spielberg anymore. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay, so you have to know the history of Spielberg, which I know very well, because when I was growing up, Spielberg was my hero, right? Before all of this became cool thing to like, pop culture and all that. When I was at school, the only things that kids were into was learning how to drive, clothes, and sports. But for me and my geeky friends, or nerdy friends, as you guys would say, we knew who Spielberg was. We knew who George Lucas was. We knew Star Wars, whatever. But every kid in my school, they seen Star Wars, but they didn't see it the way we saw it. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is Steven Spielberg has never written a good screenplay. And the credit that he got for Close Encounters, he didn't really write it. He wrote a certain amount, but he didn't, because there was all kinds of people that was involved to get it to that point for Close Encounters. Same thing with Jaws. He never wrote Jaws. Anyway, Spielberg really doesn't.
Part of the talent is you have to have people. If you know you're not a great writer, you have to have good people around you. You know what's the problem here?
He did, though. He did.
No, but they got
this
together.
Guy was
this movie is like getting the band back together. But if you think about it, David Koepp, or whatever his name is, his best thing is like he wrote the first Jurassic Park movie based on a best-selling book. Here he just came up with a story, and he's like
That's
probably
my
like 100
point.
also. Steven Spielberg is 80. John Williams is literally 100. This is a situation where it seems cool to get the band back together, but honestly, I don't think so. I think that there's no point in getting the band back together. I feel like, these guys are legends, especially Spielberg and John Williams. They're legends, but maybe at some point you got to let it go.
But this is the point I'm trying to make. Spielberg he's lucked out with all the films that he's done in the past because he hasn't really been involved in screenwriting. Basically, right, the Spielberg that we know now doesn't storyboard. He's literally said that when he did The Post, the film The Post, he said that he loves coming on set with no storyboard and just making that up as he goes along. And that's exactly what he did with this film. Because if it was storyboard, I swear the film would be slightly better than it is. But the big problem, as Price has pointed out, it's the screenplay. The screenplay is old. It's like someone from the beginning 80s wrote this. Do you know what I mean? Because why? Anyway, right, let's talk about let's talk about what doesn't make any sense. The bit that really didn't make any sense was, you remember that bit where they drove to
let's start from the beginning. I want to start from the beginning and just try to describe what we've seen, because that's what Professor and I like to do.
Okay, right. The beginning's nothing. That's the problem.
It starts out with you being stomped on. It starts out with you being kicked in the face, quite literally.
Right, that was weird.
There's wrestlers kicking the camera. Yeah. They're kicking you in the face to start the movie.
I don't even get that. I almost forgot about that. Why are they kicking?
That's a TV thing, isn't it? That's not the way you start. Look at the way Jurassic Park started.
Yeah,
very cinematic. This was very TV-ish for some reason.
You are not eased into it at all. It's just like, blam, here you go. Yeah, and so that very first scene is you're kind of left to kind of figure out what's happening because there's no lead into it at all.
Oh, he has his girlfriend that was kidnapped. There's no lead in. And the thing is, listen,
why would you care about the girl or him when you don't know anything
we don't know
about
anything
him?
Exactly.
Now, when he made Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and it starts off that it's an interesting cold open. You're already familiar with Indiana Jones and you already like the character, so you can sell us on this idea. But this little douche is not Indiana Jones. I couldn't care less about him or his girlfriend, Bono's daughter. Nothing personal against Bono's daughter, but it is Bono's daughter, the actress.
Mm-hmm.
The actress that plays the girlfriend is Bono from U2. It's his daughter.
Oh gosh.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's why if you look at her eyes, she kind of looks like Bono. You didn't notice? You didn't notice she was Bono?
Nope. Didn't care at that point. That's the beginning of the movie. So yeah, no, honestly, it just doesn't work. The film doesn't work because it doesn't have that. What's that word that Richard Donner uses when he was making Superman? It begins with a V.
Oh, verisimilitude.
It doesn't have that.
Yeah, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like it exists in the real world.
No, it doesn't. And the thing is that I think that Spielberg thought if I start a little bit of suspense, they're at the match, he has to go, they're exchanging, it's fun, it's interesting, it's intriguing. The truth is, it's just none of those things. I want to also start by saying, the guy, some of the actors in this movie are actors that I like, but the guy specifically with the girlfriend is not my favorite actor. He's one of those that Hollywood has been trying to push him in recent years. He was in that movie about flamboyant tennis players with Zendaya, and ever since then, that's all I can think of when I see this actor, unfortunately. And somehow he'll never recover from that first impression of that shitty tennis movie. So unfortunately, he has that stuck to him anytime I see him in anything. But let's just say I was willing to put it aside. The character isn't interesting. Nothing is interesting. It was just it was boring. It was meant to be kind of action and adventure or something, but it's just it's a snooze right out the gate. Then you also have Emily Blunt's character that she needs to go to work, but now she's acting weird. She knows all this stuff about
too long.
Yeah.
That scene was too long.
Well,
she walks to the toaster, then she walks back, then she walks to the toaster, then she walks back. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, it's just like,
so
what?
we did skip over the introduction of the magical bullshit device.
How he escaped was so easy.
which we we get introduced to the magical bullshit device. There are 3 MacGuffins in this in this movie.
Yeah.
True,
They're literally just magic wands that are part of the story and can do whatever is necessary for the story at the time. So he pulls this out of his pocket and everyone's like, oh my god, and he's pointing it at them like it's a some sort of disintegrator ray or something. And they all back away from him, and these guys telling him, "Oh no, don't squeeze it too hard, don't squeeze it too hard," and then they get in the car and they drive away. Like they let them go because he's got the magic wand in hand. But yeah, then after that, the character and his girlfriend, they get away, and they go to the next scene with go
to the monastery, don't they?
Yeah, they head off to the monastery, but the next scene is the scene with Emily Blunt and John Walker, who did nothing wrong.
John Walker, I almost didn't recognize him, to tell you the truth. He's playing a douche, wasn't he, in the film? So yeah,
he's usually a douche wherever they put him.
It feels like he's kind of typecast as the douche.
Yeah, it's
he kind of has a douchey face. I guess that's why they give him. He seems like he would be a douche, but I don't hate him. But he seems like he would be a douche. In any case, I like Emily Blunt. I genuinely like her. But man, this was. I mean, I'm not blaming her. She was given like a very difficult script to work with. You could tell that she's really trying. Like a lot of these other actors, Coleman Domingo and Colin Firth try really hard, but so little to work with in this movie. But go on. Okay, so there's this whole opening with her, and then does she talk to her husband in Russian or something? I don't even remember.
She's talking back and forth. They're talking about she's not sure if she wants to continue her career at this, as the weather girl at this thing, and then she's recorded something. She wants to be an anchor instead of the weather girl, and there's this whole thing where they're going back and forth about her wanting to leave. Kind of, she wants to move again, and he doesn't want to move again, and blah blah blah, whatever. But then, then a cardinal flies in through the window, and they have a staring contest.
He shoos it out, doesn't he?
And then eventually he shoos it out. And then afterwards, she starts talking to him in fluent Russian.
Yeah.
Why is she talking to him in Russian? Remind me. I listen.
There's no reason given.
I was already struggling.
There's no reason.
I was already struggling here, and people are like, "Oh, maybe you had a tough day and you were just tired." You know what? I'm tired a lot. If it's a good movie, I probably won't fall asleep. Right out the gate with this thing with the bird and the Russian thing, I didn't fall asleep. But you know how when you catch yourself when you're fighting, you know that feeling when like your eyes are really trying to not listen and they really want to they want to take a nap and you're kind of fighting with them. I had these kind of fights with them at that part with the Russian and the bird. I don't know why. I mean, it's so early in the movie, you'd think I just watch it, and I'm like, I don't like this. I don't know what this is, but like my instinct told me that like I don't want to watch any more of it. But I did because of obviously we have to. But I knew then and there that this was going to be a stinker. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It feels like there's no urgency. You know how sometimes I'll put it this way. Forget about Spielberg. You know, sometimes there's like a movie and they make like a sequel and another sequel. By the time, like, let's say, put on Police Academy like 7 or 8. By the time you get to that, you can kind of feel that it's a bad movie. Do you get what I'm saying? Like from the get-go, the two actors like exchange a few sentences. You could tell that everybody's just there to like collect a paycheck, but there's nothing really driving it. It felt like, you know, a late movie in a franchise that maybe once was good, but now we're watching like 7 movies in where like it's shit, as you like to say.
Yeah, it doesn't, the film doesn't work because I didn't believe anything I was watching.
No,
I thought Emily Blunt was quite good in the film.
She tried her best.
She did with the crappy script that she got, and also Colin Firth was, he was chewing the scenery, wasn't he? Let's face it.
Totally,
But
totally. We'll
yeah,
get to him in a second. And yeah, I mean,
yeah,
people are saying that maybe Emily Blunt uses Botox or something like that, but when I looked at her, I still thought that she was, she's
yeah.
all
She
right
looks
in
the
my
She
book.
same.
looks fine
Yeah,
in this for a
yeah,
woman of her age. I think she
I
looks
yeah.
fine. I don't have a problem with her. Yeah.
I don't have any problem with her at all. I still think she's rather nice, and I haven't changed my opinion. I didn't. She was probably maybe the best part of this movie, but that's not really saying much because the movie
Yeah.
was awful in my opinion. So in any case, she goes to work. Is this the
Yeah,
part
well,
where
we get a scene before she gets to work. Actually, I think we
the
do
police
get a scene
officer?
where they cut off to Colin Firth and his group, right? Where
Yeah.
they're talking to them, and they're trying to figure out who's in on this. How did he get these files that he stole? How did he get all this stuff? And who else? Who else didn't show up for work today? Are they in on it? And all sorts of stuff like that. So they're trying to figure out where he's gone and how they can track him and whatnot. But yes, that's a pretty brief scene. They didn't, and then I think they jump back over to her trying to race to work. Yeah, in her.
And then the
Yeah.
policeman stops her, but she knows all this stuff about him. Now,
Yes.
See, hold on. Let me. This is the thing that took me out of it. So she knows about the policeman, right? She has this power all of a sudden, and the policeman just accepts what she's saying and then lets her go. If that happened to me, I'd be like, "Who the hell are you? Get out the car right now." Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense that people just go, "Oh, okay, you can go now." Do you know what I mean? If that
right.
happened to you, you'd be going, "Who are you? Get out the car. I want to talk to you." And she'd be
Especially
going,
if I'm a police officer, I'm thinking this lady is
exactly.
stalking my family.
How do you know who my wife is? How do you know
Exactly.
not like, oh, just
Exactly.
baffled. Oh, you said all the
So
right things.
That
There's
took me out of it. That took me
yeah,
out of it.
oh yeah. There's I can't remember what the trope is, but like there's this whole idea that like, oh, like if you can just like tell everyone all their inner thoughts, suddenly you're going to get their trust somehow.
but
Like and that's absolute nonsense. If someone started spouting my inner thoughts to me, I would be like, what the hell is your problem? What is
This
wrong?
is this is what I call logic holes. That's
Yeah.
what they're called in films. And this is the first logic hole. Actually, yes, this is the first logic hole in the whole of the movie.
Of many, we're not.
Of
It's going to
many.
be a
Yeah,
never-ending
yeah.
bunch of them. I just
Yeah.
want to say that Jason Webster here, he sent a $5 super chat. So coming in 2028, the Disclosure Day sequel. Now our heroes must stop aliens from taking over the Kansas City Royals in Disclosure Day Royal Flush. All right, that probably would be a better plot than whatever this movie had. Let me tell you that, Jason. In any case, you're right. Listen, in isolation, if you would have taken away all the early scenes of this movie and you start off with Emily Blunt starting her day, everything is business as usual, but suddenly she has some kind of telepathic ability that she's never had before, that could be interesting. You know what I mean? That could be an interesting idea. It's just coupled with those other things with the guy and his girlfriend, with Bono's daughter, and then all this other weird shit with Colin Firth and whatever it is, and then having her and the Russian and the bird and all this stuff, and then the officer, which is creepy in and of itself. Now we're going like, all over the place. You know what I mean? There's no focus.
It feels like the first draft of a script. That's what it feels
Absolutely.
like. If you took the nun girlfriend out of it, would have made no difference to the story whatsoever at all.
You could remove Bono's daughter
like
from the movie and it doesn't change anything. Not only that, if you would have had, here's what you could have done. Instead of the shit that we see in the opening, we have two people living two lives. One, that guy with the math, and one, Emily Blunt, and each live their own life. And I would maybe even make them single. You know what I mean? Each of them live their own life. They have suddenly they have like these strange abilities that they haven't had before. And then along the way, as they both become of interest to the government or whatever it is, they meet each other kind of on the run. And maybe even you spark a little, romance or something between them. So then at least there's a resolution to that. Here, it's like he has Bono's daughter, but then she's kind of with him and she has her own boyfriend. What did they even want with all this shit? You know what I mean?
The reason why they have Bono's daughter in there and the nun connection is to connect it to Christianity.
That is exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Without her, they don't have the will people question their faith, or people
right.
gonna decide that God doesn't exist because aliens do.
I can solve this
And
problem for you.
yeah.
The guy with the math numbers, he was raised like in an orphanage run by nuns because something happened to his parents that had to do with aliens or something when he was young, but he doesn't remember that, or some weird shit like that. And then the nuns kind of, that's why the nuns are in his life, kind of like Daredevil is always talking to some
No,
nun
he
or
wasn't
whatever.
raised by nuns. He wasn't raised by nuns at all.
Well,
He
no, we're
was.
saying
No,
that's a way to
Oh,
fix
I
it. Get
see.
rid of
That's a way to
her.
fix it.
Get rid of her and
Right,
just
right.
have him as the
Right,
Right,
character.
gotcha.
have
Yeah,
him
but
have something in his background tied to a nun so that he can talk to a nun without banging one. You know what I'm trying to say?
Do you know what I thought though when I was
I
watching? I
know
was
how
thinking
that
to
sounded, but
myself,
that is what happens in this movie. Go
it
on.
would be better if they didn't have Emily Blunt and that fella in it, and they were both children. That's what I thought.
That would have
I
been
thought
interesting too.
that's more Spielberg's wheelhouse, isn't it? But he didn't
That
do
would
that
have
because
been kind of
he wanted the star power, didn't he? So, and plus it was the
listen.
first draft script, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm trying to go along with the idea that they're not children. Do I like the idea like that they're children? Yes, but I'm trying to go along with the idea. Let's say that they're adults. Don't have her weird boyfriend, and don't have him have his nun girlfriend. I would
Yeah, it made
dump
no
both of those
sense.
characters. There were too many
Yeah,
characters in this as is, and have
yeah,
them go about their lives like in a regular way, and something is happening to them both, and they don't understand it until at some point they alert the attention of like these kind of secret agencies, and find themselves like at a crossroad where they're running off or running away together. There was
yeah.
something interesting here. It could have been more simple and more straightforward. Sometimes, there's that thing, keep it simple, stupid. Here, it's like, let's have all these characters, but they don't know what to do with all these
The
characters.
first draft script. That's
It
what
is.
it
It's
is.
not even a strong first draft script.
No,
It's a
it's
first
not.
draft script that Spielberg should have looked at it. I don't care if he's not a writer himself. He should have looked at it with his experience and said, you know what, this is just not good enough. We need a whole new, approach to this movie. We need to go
Mm.
back to square one here when it comes to the characters and how we're setting up this whole story. In any case, after the stupid thing with the officer, which you said is creepy and weird, and I agree, she arrives at work and she somehow knows a bunch of stuff. She knows some guy speaking in Korean. She corrects him or some weird shit like that.
No, she didn't correct him. She just basically interpreted what he was
She
saying.
interpreted, suddenly she speaks
Yeah.
Korean and she's the best or whatever it is. And then she goes and she does like the weather, and
Yeah.
she sounds like the Swahili tribe or
Click,
whatever
click,
it
click.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that Swahili? Am I an asshole for thinking
I
it
don't
sounded like
know.
Swahili? It
I
sounds like
don't
Swahili,
know.
right?
I don't
Don't they
know.
talk? I know how
the
this is going to
click.
sound.
Oh yeah, the clicking.
Click,
Yeah,
click.
Right.
it did
Yeah.
sound a lot like that. In fact, it doesn't really even sound like a language. But apparently,
Yeah.
she's Emily Blunt's some sort of hero because she learned to make those noises herself instead of doing some sort of
Hey.
special effects. I don't know why that's
Nah,
particularly all that
she
special, but
didn't do
whatever.
those
Whatever.
noises. She didn't do those noises. It's a big lie.
So all I'll say is that I'm not saying this to be mean, but if you ever go and Google like Swahili people talking, it sounds like the noises Emily Blunt made.
Yeah.
But I guess everybody's shocked because
Yeah.
they do. This is another thing. So many things shock so many people. Like every second here, they're like, the whole world is simultaneously shocked by this. Like the
Yes.
whole world doesn't care about anything. It doesn't ring true at all. Not in 2026.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that later. In
Well,
any case,
everyone around is already weirded out, remember, at the studio, because she's not only did she do the thing to the cop, right? Where she like knows his inner thoughts. She does this to like 5 or 6 other people in the studio on her way to doing the broadcast. And then when she does this weird clicky stuff while she's trying to, do the weather forecast, then she immediately passes out.
right, she collapses.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then they take her to something, and there's probably another scene, but they take her to do an MRI or something, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Ma'am, we just checked, and everything is a-okay.
Nothing wrong with that brain.
Nothing wrong. You're gonna maybe need some therapy." And her boyfriend's like, "Yes, she has dreams all the time and wants to sing songs." And it's like,
Yeah.
so we have that weird thing, and then they're like, "Man, the FBI is here." And she's like, "They're not the FBI. They're just pretending." I don't know what. So we have that. Was there another scene with Firth and with that other weirdo? I don't even remember.
I can't remember.
So we see, so they get to there's the whole scene at the monastery that they have, right? Where that's where they've decided to hide out, because that's where she was when she was a child.
So there was a scene after the TV thing where she fainted and when she was in the hospital, where Colin Firth was being discouraged by the people around him not to use that thing to find them.
Yes.
I think it was that scene that was spliced in between them both. I think.
Yeah, it was a fairly short scene. Yeah. But so he's trying to find.
He uses it.
Yeah, he wants to find the guy that we saw at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
He wants to find what was his name? Kellner. Right, wants to find Kellner because he's got all the files and he's got the magic wand device that can do anything, and he wants to try and find him. But then he finds out, he can't, as they say, dive on into his mind because he's an experiencer. They just make this like. This stuff up as they go through so he's an experiencer nonsense. So now he can't get into his mind. So then he's like, what about the girl? Can I get into her mind? And so they start looking up stuff about the girl. They do have the scene where they're at the monastery where she keeps saying, you have to tell me the truth about what's going on, you have to tell me the truth, and he keeps saying no. And and he finds out that she was not a nun, but like in training essentially to be a nun.
No, she was a nun.
Before we get to the nun, I just want to say to Jason Webster, Josh O'Connor for me does not resemble young Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman is a legitimately good actor. Josh O'Connor is one of those ones that people keep pumping all the time and saying how great he is and hyping, but he's all right, I guess. He's no Gary Oldman for me personally.
Yeah, she is a nun. She was a nun.
She was an aspirant. She was someone who was in training, but
I thought you said she was an aspirin.
She was an aspiring nun. She
says she was an aspirant. Essentially, she's somebody who is sort of in training, but never takes the actual full vows to become a nun.
I see.
Basically, she wanted to become a nun, but at the end, she's like, "Nah, I'm gonna just hang out with all these dudes and
I'm just gonna go have sex with guys."
Right, and that's how he ended up with. She didn't want to be a nun, so she ended up with Josh O'Connor or whatever his name is.
So he tried to ditch her, didn't he? And then she gets into the car with them.
Yeah, she's like, I got to get in the car with you.
Yeah.
So then she gets in the car and they drive, and there's this other guy. I can't remember his name. I'm going to go with Sanchez. I don't think that was his name. But
it was Santiago.
Okay, Santiago.
Sorry,
that I know that from that may have sounded insensitive, but
it was Jose.
Santiago. Was his name Jose?
No, it's just Santiago. I'm just
Santiago. Yeah. I don't know why I thought it was Sanchez. I just remembered the guy was the Latino guy. I just didn't remember what his name was. I thought it was Sanchez, but fine, it's Santiago. I was close. I know how the optics of this could look negative, but I was trying my best here for whatever that's worth. And then
I can't remember what happens after that. What happens after that?
They're driving in a car. They're running away something in a car.
Yeah. So
now, hold on. So we go back to the hospital, and basically, she could read the lady says they're FBI, and she goes and she could read them, and she said, "No, they're not FBI."
Yeah,
remember that scene? So we're back in the hospital.
I have to read this comment. Caleb Levine, she aspired to be a nun, but settled for a missionary position. That is kind of funny.
Yeah. That's good. So she says, they're not FBI. And then she can like read their minds, and she hears the name Kellner. She says, I don't know who he is, but they want him dead, and I have to find him, whatever. So they get in their they escape, and they get in their car to head off, and then it cuts back to the other. I think it cuts back to the other group, the
Yeah,
the guy
in a
and his
house.
girlfriend, Kellner and his girlfriend, where essentially she's like they get to a safe house where Santiago took them,
Right, but
and
here's some dumb
yeah.
shit. Some dumb shit starts happening. I'm sorry, that whole stupid thing that Colin Firth plays around with that stick
Mm,
and then with
yeah.
that like wand and
The
jumps into
magic
people.
wand, yeah, the
The
magical
magic
bullshit
wand,
device, yeah.
and then he
Mm.
enters people's minds. It's too much. You know what I mean? It's too much going on in one movie. I don't feel like I have enough context as how he just holds on to that thing and now he's in her mind. I know that you could say it's a science fiction movie. It doesn't have to make sense, but even in a science fiction movie,
Has to make sense.
I'd like for it to make some kind of sense within the logic of the movie. It's like until now there were aliens. Now he's like, I'm gonna hold this so I'm in everybody's mind. I don't know. It just seems like very cheap writing. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, what it is millions of, look, when you write a screenplay, right, especially if you're writing with somebody, which I've only done once, they chuck in all their ideas and then you chuck it into the mix. And then you work on it, you work on second draft, third draft, and some of the stuff come out or some of the stuff stay depending on the logic of the script. It's obvious, well, I don't know, I'm guessing, that this seems like a first draft script, that bit was just chucked in and they went, okay, and I went with it. And it doesn't work. It
I
really
mean,
doesn't. Where did it
let's
come
put it this
from?
way. I just want to say this. If let's say this magic wand was something that would Colin Firth has it in his hand and he touches somebody else, he can somehow read his mind through this weird bullshit thing that came from another planet that it gives him that power. I could maybe let it slide, but the fact that he would look at a computer, see somebody's face,
Yeah.
hold on to the
Yeah.
wand, and just be inside that person's brain is just
Mm.
it's a few steps too far. Even the wand with touching would have been a stretch, but the thing that
Yeah.
he's just sitting there with a computer is bonkers in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. He looks at some biographical information of her, and then out of however how many billions of people on Earth, he's somehow able to reach out and,
Well, also,
and like connect with her.
Also,
brain.
you can
Yeah.
tell someone that wrote this was old because you don't need the bullshit device to find someone, especially the amount of equipment that the government has got. Like all they need is a satellite, and they can track almost anyone through cameras, through everything. Do you know what I mean? So they didn't really need the bullshit advice. They could have created a different way how they keep finding them. Just like in that film Enemy of the State with Will Smith. The amount of stuff they can do with technology today no one is safe. Do you know what I mean? So they didn't need it. They really didn't need it. It just goes to show that this, again, I keep saying this, it's a first draft script. That's what it is, in my opinion. It's just my opinion, of course, but there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, then our next scene was where she finally holds his feet to the fire, saying, "You have to tell me what all of this is about." And so he starts digging out his little fake USB drives and whatever to tell her, like, oh, well, I stole the information that I was hired to protect, because he's like
everything.
He's a hacker. He's a security professional who was working for this company, and he found out what the data was that we're actually keeping safe. And so he stole all of it. He's got all these little USB drive things, and he says, "Now I'm going to show this to you, and it's really going to be upsetting." And he starts to show her a video of a famous story. You know the story about Jackie Gleason and Richard Nixon?
Yeah.
He shows him. Oh, right.
Yeah. Jackie Gleason claimed that Richard Nixon took him to an Air Force base and showed him dead alien bodies in freezers. And so the video that they're seeing here in this is supposed to be, Jackie Gleason was telling the truth. That's what it's supposed to be.
I mean, in isolation, that wouldn't have been like the worst thing in the world, but it's just so like that is not the problem that the movie has. That's just like a little Easter egg, whatever you want to call it. That's fine. Like I don't mind that. But the fact that at this point, I think that Colin Firth gets into the mind of Bono's daughter.
Yes, right after this scene. Yeah.
Right. And he's trying to get her to basically delete Josh O'Connor. So at this point, suddenly, and this is so many conveniences. What's her face? Emily Blunt, first of all, makes her husband run over her phone, and then she's like, "I need your phone." Why didn't she tell him to get rid of his phone? She's like, "I need your phone." So she grabs his phone, calls Josh O'Connor, and tells him, "Listen, you're about to get deleted by your girlfriend." and it's like, how would she know all of that? You know what I mean?
They're coming for you. Yeah, that was originally
so convenient.
Yeah, originally the goal of connecting with her was to try and figure out where they were, because obviously, again, their main goal is to try and get back all of this data that's been stolen.
It's the alien stuff that makes her know all this stuff, but also, and I'd just like to point out, right, the running over of the phone bit really pissed me off. Why was that so long? They miss it, and they put it, and then they miss it again. I'm like, what?
On and on and on. Yeah, I thought it would have been funnier if they drove over it and then they got out and went like, "Dang, Apple iPhones are really indestructible." That would have been even funnier than just like repeatedly missing the phone that they're trying to drive over. It's so stupid.
It's like too much, just too much. Sorry, carry on there.
No, I don't.
Coder Rob said this movie is giving me a headache and I haven't even seen it. That's how I felt. I can't explain to people how annoyed I was. Like, there's no other word I can say than annoyed. It was an annoying movie. But she suddenly, for no reason, knows that he's gonna. They're chasing him. Colin Firth is chasing him and sending his girlfriend to delete him. So she calls him and she's like, "You got to do something." So immediately he does something, and this idiot also takes Bono's daughter with him, the same one that he's in her mind.
Yeah.
And then,
he doesn't know that she's been compromised yet, though.
Only when she's in the car. Going too far.
I thought that Emily Blunt tells him, but you know what?
She just says they're coming for you. You need to leave.
Okay, so fine. I concede that point. But she's in the car, and then like instead of like using the knife against him, she uses it against herself, which makes the other guy with the magic wand feel pain.
Yes.
And then like he drops the wand, and somebody else touches the wand, and then disappears, but then reappears. I don't even know what the fuck that was.
Yeah, again,
what
the fuck?
It's a magical bullshit device. That's what I'm saying. Like it serves whatever purpose is needed at a particular time in the film. It can do anything.
Also, the way he escaped from them was just so pathetic. Wasn't it?
Right,
when they
just
drove up to his car, he just walked in past them, and it was ridiculous.
He walked past them, and then
there's all of these agents. Not one of them is going to look behind them. Because he's just walking out in the open. Anybody could see him coming. And he's crouched down behind a fence that's like got gaps in it a mile wide. Like he's not hidden at all. Then he gets in a car and smashes through a house.
No, and then he has like an Austin Powers moment. He's like in one tree and another tree, and they're all standing there with like guns and stuff. He's like, I'll go to this tree, I'll go to that tree. It's like, dude, you would have been finished like 2 seconds ago. You're done for. There's no way you can continue to reverse and move forward and reverse and move forward. Then he like drives through the house. So much like it's weird nonsense. None of this makes any sense at all.
Then he says to her, "Get into the car," and she just stands there. And it's like, by the time he gets her into the car, they would have stormed that house and shot his ass. Do you know what I mean?
He would have been gone like 70 times already in this whole thing.
Yeah, there would have been deadly force would have been used instantly, like when they saw him, because it's silly. But we didn't really mention the Coleman Domingo's role yet, because he has popped up a couple times at this point. Right. He plays a guy named Hugo, who was a former. He also worked at the same place that the sort of
Josh
the lead
O'Connor.
Character, Josh O'Connor's character did, Kellner, and he's working to try and help them to get this data exposed or whatever, and then he's
also like the biggest idiot on the face of the earth. But we'll get to that. Nothing personal against Coleman Domingo, who I think is a good actor. Good actor. He really tried as well. You could tell that he's really, really trying. There's nothing you can do. It's just a terrible character and terrible screenplay. But never mind. You're right. He's like their
Spielberg, didn't he? He put his trust in Spielberg. All of them did.
They all did. They all did. Listen, it's Spielberg. They're like, fuck it. We'll give us a script. We're sure it's good. It's not good. It's a really, out of all the movies that Spielberg has ever directed, this is the worst screenplay that ever a Spielberg movie has had, in my opinion.
Yes, definitely.
In any case, moving forward, now there's also Emily Blunt, and she's with her boyfriend. But her boyfriend, he wants to actually call like the police and the doctors to like.
Douche.
What'd you say?
He's a douche. He's a douche.
He's a douche. Yeah, he looks like a douche. He
He's a
is one.
douche.
He's a douche. He goes into the store, but like Emily Blunt pulls a fast one on him, and she tells the kid to tell him that like she told him she took the car and goes screw you or whatever it is. So like he comes out and then he's like there by himself, and she took the car and she's driving away. So now it's her and what's his name? Now, and there is another thing. I may be missing some stuff, but this is the part that really, really annoys me. So Josh O'Connor takes like the aspiring nun to a motel room, and he goes there. And at this point, he already knows that he can get into her mind. He knows that now. So she tells him, "Listen, you got to tie my hands." So he ties her hands, but in one hand she has like a receipt which says what hotel they're at.
Well, he hides a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he has it. Yeah, he has it.
But he was writing some notes down on the little notepad that you have on the desk in the hotel room, and he was still holding that note. So he got rid of all of this other evidence, but then left that right there.
Why would he leave that? And the other thing is that honestly,
no, he was holding it. He was writing. He fell asleep and he was holding it. But they should have put a blindfold on the girl.
Blindfold on the girl. And the other thing is that flimsy thing. He thinks he can tie that flimsy thing. This is a woman that 2 seconds ago wanted to stab him. What are you doing? This weird this flimsy little rope. What was that?
Well, that was supposed to
bathrobe.
Be the belt from the bathrobe, except that I'm sorry, I've stayed in little roadside motels like that. They ain't giving you no bathrobes, boy. There's no bathrobe in that hotel. You're lucky if you get a towel. Okay,
a towel. Yeah, and honestly, like even if they gave me a towel in that specific hotel, I'd be suspicious of the towel.
Probably don't want to use it. Yeah,
I probably would use it. I'd also even be suspicious of their sheets, but that's a whole story.
And then there's so basically the what's his name reads. They read the thing that he's holding in his hand. They know where they are now, don't they? In the hotel room, and then they storm the hotel. And he has all the drives, and he gives it to the girl. They climb through the toilet, and he says to the girl, "Run off with these drives." And the girl gets away really easily.
Super easy. Yeah, exactly.
But that's the same
super
girl
easy.
that the guy
barely an inconvenience.
He can get into her mind, so why would he give her the stupid thing?
Exactly.
I don't understand this.
They know
such an idiot.
That is one of the. I was going to say this. You mentioned it. I'm going to say this is one of the biggest plot failures. Just plot holes in this movie. The failure of logic. He gives her the magic wand and he gives her all the drives with all the data and stuff on it, even though he knows that Colin Firth's character, Scanlon, I think is his name, he knows that he can get into her head and control her and knows where she is. So he's literally giving it. He's essentially giving it to Scanlon at that point. He's giving it to Colin Firth's character. It is one of the biggest failures in the script, in my opinion.
Absolutely, it's a disgrace. And then
it's a disgrace.
It is a disgrace. It is a disgrace, man. This
hilarious.
is like, listen, I would expect this from like a movie that J.J. Abrams made, but I don't expect this from a movie with Steven Spielberg's name as a director. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even if he didn't write it, the fact that he filmed this and he didn't stop and say, "Okay, guys, get me the script supervisor, get me somebody. This doesn't make any sense." He's Steven Spielberg. You don't realize that this doesn't make any sense? So she runs away. And then I guess they capture him or something. This is the part where like I think my brain is fighting me. Like it's all a blur to me from here. I think because it's so.
So they capture him and they take him to base, and then Emily Blunt's magical bullshit power decides that she knows where the base is. So she drives. And she gets to the guard and she says, "Oh, you've got a son, blah blah blah." And the guy obviously plays the same.
And why would that work? Why would that work?
Well, no, she does actually. She says you're such and such. Says his name and his badge number or whatever, and then says the code today is whatever.
No, that I didn't mind. That I didn't mind. The part that she walks in and she turns into everybody's grandmother.
Oh, that's on the way out. Yeah. So that's on the way out. Is after she gets in there, she goes in to rescue Kellner. and
she does.
she's able to convince people. She uses her mind powers to make her look like other people that like for instance Scanlan's she see, that's the thing, it shows her doing this to individuals here and there, which I get that. Like if you were encountering one person and you could suddenly look like their dead wife, like that's going to have an effect. But she's surrounded by dozens of people.
Right? How can she be all of that to all of them at the same time?
Exactly.
Which is so weird.
Exactly. That she can do that to where they're all suddenly just awestruck and stand away from her and let her leave.
The worst
thing, she has a superpower, basically.
Well, hold on. The worst.
Because of that
sorry,
moment,
let me just say the worst logic hole there, right, is when Colin Firth sees his wife. Now, if you know your wife is dead and been dead for so many years and suddenly she's there, wouldn't you be a bit suspicious? Why would you just believe that's your wife? And
right. He would think that this lady is doing some weird maneuver on him.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing is, if she could just walk into a crowd of like 50 guards and just do that, then there's no movie anymore. Then she could just go every place do that.
Absolutely.
She has this superpower that she can neutralize everybody. It's too much. Like you guys said, if there was one guard and she suddenly looked like, his dead wife, and the guy is like thrown off and she's confusing him, you could say, okay, she used that trick once. But to walk into a room of like 50 people and do that, it's just bonkers.
Yeah, because she does it to 2 or 3 people on the way out where she kind of messes with them or whatever. It's a mix of like appearing like a different person and doing some of the mind reading stuff that she did to the other people we've seen. But then then they all just sort of start standing away from her like she's Jesus walking on water. Yeah. They all just sort of part.
As well. Apart from one guy, that one guy that's not affected by it.
Boyd, I think was his name. Yeah, he's like, oh no, I'm gonna go get him. And
the biggest
Which one is
Predator
Badlands? Emperor Goodwin says maybe her powers work like the translation from Predator Badlands.
The biggest logic flaw in this is when they get to the trying to cross when the train was coming. Now, why would he use his car to push the car into the the lane of the train? Why doesn't he just get out of his car and shoot them? Why did he just get out of his car and shoot them?
Why they're not armed?
Yeah, exactly. That's another huge logic hole or flaw in the actual logic of the film.
I mean, I guess you could say he's afraid that if he gets too close to them, that she can mind power him or something and whatever.
But
I don't know.
Won't be able to see him coming. Yeah. Just go in there, shoot the back of their heads. End. Finish. Story. Yeah. End.
Then I want to say that, like, I think that around this area in the movie is maybe the only scene that I enjoyed in the movie. It's not necessarily like good in the context of the movie or anything. It's stupid, but the part where there's a train and there's a car and the other car is ramming into the train and they're trying to get out of the car and onto the train, at least that was kind of cool to see. And like I even feel that at that moment John Williams woke up from his slumber and started making music that's more like interesting, and then there's like a little bit of a set piece and it's like, oh, there's a little bit of action here and the guy is shooting at them from the car. At least there was something there for like a minute that I'm like, okay, this could have been interesting if the whole movie was like high adrenaline like this. But really, after that scene, they bond together because she thinks that she has Parkinson's or something, and then he's kind of holding her, and I'm like, oh, maybe now he's gonna slip her, he's gonna,
but
the old one too, you know what I mean? And then what happens is nothing happens. They just look at each other and
even that scene with the train, you've seen that so many times in different movies.
Yeah, it wasn't original,
It wasn't original.
It was well done though.
It was all right. Very, very effects heavy. You can tell it was blue screen or green screen at
maybe,
one point.
Perhaps, maybe the old Spielberg would have done it practical, but I didn't hate that scene. At least I wasn't bored by it. Like for a few minutes, I felt more awake in that scene than I had been throughout probably the whole movie until that minute. But the scene ends. You like the scene, you don't like the scene, it ends. And then it's only downhill from there.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a metaphor for the whole movie, to be honest. Yeah,
it's a train wreck.
Train wreck.
Every scene has a bullshit device thing to get out of that scene. It's ridiculous.
It's either the magic wand or it's her magic powers that superpowers that she gets.
Right, the magic wand or superpowers. But then okay, so they're on the train. Remind me, it's like I saw it just a few hours ago, but my mind doesn't even want to remember it. Like it's blanking now.
I think the next scene is they meet up. The fire trucks stop and they try. You think they're going to kidnap them, but they're not. They're working for Michael Jackson's dad. That's who they're working for, basically.
Right.
So So
yes,
they take him.
That scene was so stupid. All the fire trucks pulling up and
we can drive wherever we want in a fire truck. Like the guy explains it to them.
Yeah.
Like,
so they drive to the location where Michael Jackson's dad is, and they all turn up, and Emily Blunt suddenly realized they've rebuilt her childhood house or something like that. Do you remember that?
Yeah. So throughout the entire film, whenever we see Hugo, they're doing something from the very earliest scenes when we've seen Hugo. They're just sort of like putting up some frames and some drywall, and then like later on, he's like he's in a house, but then you see it kind of moves, and it's not all there. And then when they do finally get to the point. Well, so there is a scene where Colin Firth uses the magic wand to talk to Coleman Domingo's character.
Yeah.
And to try and figure out where he is, because he's figured out he's the one who's organizing all of this and whatever. So he tries to talk to him, and then a couple of people walk in on him, and he recognizes them, and so he's like, oh, look at all the people who work here, this one, find them. So they're able to sort of track down where they are based on this whole, by like tracking their phones and stuff, whatever.
The next scene is unbelievably stupid as far as
is this the one where she talks to the nun about?
No, it's the scene where the invisibility thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. So,
hold on, stop. By the way, Price, did that scene make you angry? Do you remember the scene where they found out that these two were kids and they were visited by aliens when they were kids?
By aliens that looked like a deer or something, and some raccoon.
And then
I was thinking, what the fuck? What the fuck is this?
But hold on.
Yeah.
I wanted to pass this by you because you probably didn't recognize it. So when they're on the tables and the aliens are doing things to them, right? Who was scared? Was it the girl or the boy?
I think the boy was scared, and the girl
absolutely, and I was so pissed off.
The girl was bossing, and the boy was scared.
Exactly. They still can't take that shit out of our movies, can they? Do you know what I mean?
They can't.
Just,
but
so
honestly,
annoying.
that is the least of this movie's
I know.
concerns.
Yeah,
there is a long list of problems this movie has, and trust me when I tell you, the little boy getting scared while the girl is brave is not even on the radar here.
Yeah, they use the magic wand. They sit the two of them down and so the reason they wanted to recreate her house was because they're trying to get her to go back and like uncover repressed memories of her abduction by aliens, and of course, yes, his as well. Yes, the Kellners, they're both experiencers. So they've
but what happened to their parents? This is the part that I was fuzzy on. What happened to these children's parents? Why did they get taken? I don't even know.
I think the boy was adopted because his parents died when he was young, but I don't know about Emily Blunt's parents.
I didn't get it. Why did they build her fucking house, and why she couldn't even? What happened to her parents?
I
don't even know. I watched it and I'm like, what am I missing here? What am I watching?
Price, when we get to the end, and you can destroy this whole film by saying one sentence, but I won't do it. Not yet.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah. So they have their. She goes back and she with the help of the magic wand that can do anything. Right. She goes back and recovers her memories, and they remember being abducted. But then the bad guys show up. Colin Firth and his crew turn up, and she uses the magic device in a way that nobody's seen before, and she makes everyone disappear. Invisible. She makes everyone invisible.
Yeah.
It's like it's like they managed to do a hybrid between her bullshit convenient powers and the magic wand convenient powers to create the most convenient power ever.
Yeah. Yeah,
just all the
yeah.
stuff. But then
Yeah.
they're like, once they start crashing into it, they must know that it's like an illusion. It
Mm.
seems to take them a long time to figure that out too.
Well,
I've got to admit, the effects were quite good in that scene.
yeah.
Mm.
They
Especially
sort
when the
of they
guy
start to
fell on
see
the
through it
door.
because they've got the thermal imaging that they've got, that they can see that
No,
there's
no, it's
something
not.
there.
No, it's the which the magic wand she was holding was glowing, and they could see that. Everything else was invisible.
Wait,
So they can
wait.
see where she's going.
There's another important thing. There's a part where Hugo, he sits there, and that other guy gets inside his mind. Colin Firth gets inside Hugo's mind.
Yeah, I
and
think R2 brought that up.
Right,
Yeah.
but before that happens, he tells his two assistants to leave the room. Now, this
Yes.
part is another part that the guy was an idiot, because what he should have said, if he knows now that this guy is going to get into his mind and anything he sees, he knows, and he can't see those like former employees, I would tell these guys, listen, I'm closing the door here. This is very important. Until I tell you, until you see me, nobody gets into this room. Nobody. No, national security. You're not setting one foot into this room until I say it's okay. And then I sit down and I talk to Colin Firth. Instead, he's talking to Colin Firth, and those other guys like, hey, what's up, boss? And he's like, he sees them and he starts looking for them. It's like, what is this guy, an idiot? You know what I mean? Like, this guy that's supposed to be some like clever guy that's leading this whole sophisticated operation didn't think to tell those guys to not enter while he's doing this weird telepathic bullshit.
Well, it was sprung on him, wasn't it? He didn't know.
Yeah, I don't think he knew. He asked them to
didn't
leave, but
know.
I don't think he was because he knew that Colin was getting into his brain or whatever.
Yeah.
Then why did he ask them to leave?
I don't know. The film sucks.
Okay, let's say
Wasn't he making a phone call right before that?
Why did he ask them to leave? If I'm wrong, why did he ask them to leave? What was the reason? He asked them to leave. What was the reason?
He had an incoming call. It was Colin Firth. That's what it was. I don't know.
He must have known that Colin Firth,
script.
because the second they leave the room, he knows Colin Firth is there. So I
he
feel
could
like
see
he
it.
knew it.
Because he could see him. He was sitting
Never
on the
mind.
chair.
All right, let's forget about that. Moving forward. So there's the invisible house, and they all crash into it and whatever.
And they all get into a car and they all drive off to the station, the TV station, don't they? Now we know where they're going. Colin Firth says, "I'm like, how the hell do you know where they're going? Even if
there's only one place they could be going."
Yeah,
what do you
mean? Exactly. Yeah.
Like, okay. But yeah, so they managed to escape, and the magical bullshit device that she had on hand, she's used it too much, and it crumbles into dust in her hands.
Yeah, I remember that.
So now she doesn't have the power of the magic wand that she had before. She'll have to order another one from Hitachi. So
she arrives at the station and she's like, I have to do a special report. And they're like, you have to do a special report.
I have to do
why?
a special
Why are they all
report?
convinced that she has to do a special report? Can somebody explain? I mean, does she look like their grandmother? What's the reason why they're agreeing with her with all that?
Her power.
Yeah.
Her power.
The studio, the guy who's like running the channel is like, I don't know why I'm helping you, but I guess I will, or something something to that of that nature. And so she says, oh, this guy needs to go to the studio, and this guy needs to go to the like docking or something, like deliveries.
So
yeah. And so they show them where they're supposed to go, and they get her ready, giving her makeup and stuff like that, so she can go on the air. And he goes up to start
getting his
gets
USB
into
stuff.
Gets into Windows PowerShell and is copying files off of his little fake USB drive. Yeah,
very fast.
Very fast.
Yeah.
Amusingly, each one of these incredibly high-tech drives, I happen to notice that each of them could only hold 64 gigs.
But you know what's really interesting? After this scene, the bad guys arrive outside the studio. Do they load up their weapons ready to storm in there and tell everybody to shut things down? No, they don't do that for some stupid reason.
They start
to cut the power.
Yeah, they blowing generators and cutting the power in the building.
But why?
Yeah.
They could have just gone in there and held a gun at them and said, right, close everything down. But
I'm
they
going to
didn't
tell you
do
something,
that.
Kodo Rob. Bring It On made more logical sense to me than this movie. Not only the first one, the second one, and even the one with Christina Milian that I'm ashamed that I saw. Even that one made more sense than this thing. And I only
Yeah.
watched it because I had a girlfriend that watched that crap. I would never watch it on my own. I want to just set the record straight here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I thought it was I know this is the tech nerd in me, but yeah, when they showed that each of the drives that he's uploading were 64
Yeah.
gigs, I'm like, he's been carrying around a pile of these little USB drive things, and they're all just 64 gig. I have one drive literally sitting on my desk. I'm holding it right now that holds more than all of those drives put together. You could just have one, and it's not even alien technology. It's just a regular USB drive
Yeah, I
that
don't
holds
get that.
over
Very
2
silly.
terabytes of
Yeah.
storage. It's so
And then-
stupid.
It feels like an old man wrote this that didn't really know about
Right.
today's
Right. Didn't
technology.
understand anything about technology. And we're not 20 years old either, and we can laugh
No,
that like doesn't
exactly.
understand technology. Then at the
Exactly.
end, she wants to talk, and Colin Firth shows up, and then I guess the nun gives her another magic wand or something.
So, yeah,
no.
she
The
remember that
nun
when
has,
he
yeah.
when
go
he
on,
sent
go
her
on.
off with all the drives and stuff like that, that she had the little wand that he had with him. He had given to her, and so
Yeah.
she had that, and so she came in, and
gives it to-
she hands it off to
Emily Blunt.
to Emily Blunt's character, who then, after they've knocked the power out everywhere, now she takes the magical bullshit device and uses it
Couldn't
to
they have all
somehow
just
power
shot-
all of the things in the studio.
Couldn't the bad guys have just deleted the nun?
No, look, the bad guys could have easily shot them all, killed
Deleted
them all,
everyone.
or even hold them out gun. Yeah, but there's that scene in it where she talks to Colin Firth, and he just sits down on a chair, and then everybody leaves.
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
yeah. She after she gets a hold of the little magical
Wand.
bullshit device,
Yeah.
he just sort of gives up.
Gives
Right.
up. Yeah.
He stops trying and
He
just
stops
gives up.
trying. He gives up. That's so weird. You build up this antagonist the whole movie, over the top, whatever, and at the end he just gives up, and it doesn't make even any sense. And then she finally does her broadcast, and this is the part where really, like, I was miserable again, because in our day and age, and this is what you were saying, Ian, about the old
Yeah.
man writing the screenplay. In our day and age, who, like, the whole world is watching broadcast news and something and whatever, and why would
Yeah.
all these stations be putting it up? Today, some lady goes on some station in Kansas or something and says, like, hey, I just saw a bunch of aliens. They're not going to show all across the country and be like,
Exactly.
okay, we're
Yeah.
cutting our feed to this lady in Missouri or whatever she was. Where were they located?
They're in Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah.
Kansas City.
But here's the thing too. Remember that this whole film is done. The whole story is on the backdrop of basically World War III breaking out.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, everyone's watching the news because they're waiting for the nukes to fly.
Right.
But they're not going to give a damn about some lady in Kansas City
and
talking
they're not
about
gonna care.
alien disclosure
Right,
stuff.
and the other thing is they're showing, look, this is footage that's just been declassified. We haven't yet verified. And you see all these, like, aliens in the thing. You know what would happen? Half the people would laugh. Half the people would say it's fake news. Half the people would say
Yeah.
it was fake. It's CGI. It's AI. Everybody would just, like, make fun of it. Some lady, and in the middle of, like, a world war, they're going to sit around and watch this lady cry about these things. And it was just so annoying. Nobody would give a
Bryce.
shit about this.
But Bryce, they wouldn't. Logical thing to do is wheel in that alien, and that's the first thing you would broadcast.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
Right.
broadcast the videos of Roswell because everybody will say it's AI. But to have something live, someone like that thing live, you can't really dispute it.
And
Yeah.
between you,
I love that the
people
alien
would still
is
say
also
it's fake today. But yeah,
yes,
go on.
but I also love that the alien is like crusty and old.
Yeah.
He's
But-
like all
but-
wrinkly and can't stand.
What I'm saying is that to have something live like that, and that's what I'm saying. That's more convincing than the. Also, right, this whole film doesn't make any sense. If they had that alien, right, all this time, why need Emily Blunt and the other guy? Why not just wheel this guy? I talked to Emily Blunt saying, I've got exclusive news, wheel him in the studio and video him live. So it goes across the world. Instead of all this chase and all this nonsense,
Who
none of
brought
it
the
makes
alien?
any
Who
sense.
brought the alien at the end?
That was so.
Michael
Remember
Jackson's
that
dad.
they sent Coleman Domingo. He was going to
Yeah.
go to the loading dock.
right.
So
Yeah.
there was like a truck that pulled up to the loading
Yeah.
dock with this alien in it. They had mentioned earlier in the episode that this specimen that they had, I can't remember what they were calling him, in vivo 17 or something like that.
Right. So,
But
so
that
he
he had helped that alien escape at one point.
You're saying that Hugo had access to this alien the whole
Yes.
time?
Yes.
Yes.
So you're right. Why didn't he just roll him into the
Exactly.
station and say, "Here's my
Exactly.
alien. Here you go.
Yeah.
Want to bring
Yeah,
a crew?"
exactly. Yeah. What's the point
That's
of
my
involving?
alien.
That's what I'm saying. It's what's the point in involving those two and Emily Blunt and all this stupid powers and getting her to the house and making her remember and stuff? You got the alien right there. He could tell you. Do you know what I mean? Just bring the alien to.
They don't speak the alien's language. These two do.
But that's not the point. The point
Experiencers.
is, you want to show the world proof that an alien actually exists.
Mhm.
I guess the second best thing is to have him live, right, where it's undisputed. Put him in a BBC studio or something like that, where there's hundreds of people around, whatever, and then simultaneously have it live on YouTube, going right across the world. That's the best way to do it. Why have them chase everybody trying to kill these two people? All of it. You could have just done that.
And then
But the story doesn't work.
The movie gives you after all of the plot holes and all of the logic errors and magical bullshit devices and superpowers that have been developed by characters. After all of that, the movie gives you the biggest middle finger in the last 2 seconds of the film, because the alien gets up and speaks to them. Speaks to them in its clicky language or whatever, and they look at each other with this knowing, look, whatever, and she goes to tell them what they were told by the aliens.
Listen.
The
listen,
end.
and that was it. Yeah.
Right. They say listen, and then the movie ends.
Ends. Yeah.
She
says it.
I just saw it a few hours ago, and until you reminded me that it ends with that listen, I didn't even remember how it ended, because I think in my mind I was like, when is this movie over already? Just please end. That thing was so old school, where they're in the broadcast thing, where they're like, all the 50 states have to show this now. Let's show it on ABC. Let's show it on CNN.
Yeah.
Why? Why would they show that shit there? Nobody cares. It's not relevant to what's interesting. And then they show all these people on a bus, and at home, the whole world is stopped. People don't want to get on the bus because they're all looking at their phone at these aliens. This would never happen. It would never happen in a million years. This is bullshit.
Not just the people, not just the people on the bus or people. No, it's the Russian soldiers and the American soldiers who are all now sitting and watching this disclosure thing, because apparently a disclosure would end World War. So
wow, it's interesting. Did one of the Doctor Who writers write this? Because Doctor Who is just as void of logic, just like this film. Totally, 100%. It's weird. I just can't believe Spielberg would put his name to this. I can't believe Spielberg directed this. I can't believe this film got made. The script is so bad. This is a 101 on how not to write a screenplay. How not to shoot something that doesn't make any sense, that has so many logic holes in it. It's ridiculous. And you can't believe anything you're watching either, because you're taken out of it, because certain things that people should do don't do it. Do you remember that bit where she put the rock on the throttle of the car and then chucked it off the cliff? Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
Then they all turn up and they're hiding behind a rock, right, where they can literally see them, and they just walk off.
They just walk away, and everyone's just looking over the ravine, like, and they're all dead. Oh, I guess we'll
it's
get
like the
some
oldest
divers.
trick in the book. They're like, they must be dead. They jumped off the ravine. It's like, really?
No, like any real law enforcement would like cordon off the area. All of this. No, they just, looks like they killed themselves. Guess we can write this one off, boys.
I just like to say, though, it doesn't matter if people enjoy
Goodwin
this.
says Spielberg wrote the story. I don't know. Did he?
No, he didn't write the story. He basically came up with the idea. Spielberg doesn't write anything. Let's put it that way. But anyway, I think if people enjoy this, it's fine. They can enjoy it, right? But there's a lot of people that watch films for what it is in front of them, right? But for people like me and Price, and I guess you are too as well, we can see beyond the wall that's been presented to us, and that only makes us better storytellers. That only makes us see more. But a lot of people just see what's in front of them. Yes, it is very entertaining in parts, but none of it makes any sense. And if people can't see that, then well, it's fine. They enjoy it, it's fine. Do you know what I mean? That's what
Yeah,
separates
it's
us.
just there is when I see a really well told story, right?
Mhm.
There's a few things that you have to have there. One, you mentioned already, the verisimilitude, right? It needs to feel like it's real.
Yeah.
It needs to feel like this could actually happen, and these are real characters. These are people that I would care about for whatever reason. And then it needs to logically progress from one thing to the next. And it's
Yep.
not this it's not the and then type of storytelling where, oh, this next thing and then this thing happens. Oh, and then that thing happens. And then this thing.
That's exactly what
It
happens.
all progresses from the characters and the environment that they're placed in. And how does this move forward? It's not just because the script said so. This whole movie happens because the script said so.
Yeah.
That it does not logically derive from the characters or from the anything else that's happening. It just sort of happens, and that's, like I said, you have the magic wands that they're carrying around that can do whatever they need to do whenever they need to do them in the movie. You have her magic mind powers that start and where she can read people's minds, and then she can appear. Then later on, somehow she can appear like other people, and it's just.
Listen,
It's so frustrating.
I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes, and I am telling you that people are just being nice to Spielberg. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I like Steven Spielberg. I think that he's a genius, but I'm not going to give him a pass for this movie. And a lot of these reviewers are just like, well, he's Steven Spielberg. We'll just say that it's good, and they know it's not good. I don't believe any of these people. The ones
No,
that say they don't like it, I believe them because they give good explanations. But
but no, look, it's a strange thing, criticism, when it comes to movies and stuff like that. Remember, movies is evolving now. And whether we like it or not, films are not being appreciated as the art form it was in the 80s, the 90s, the 70s, and even the 40s. Now movies are just being slapdashly made. And this is a prime example of that. Even the powerful, incredibly talented Spielberg is just sat on his laurels and just directed this film for reasons unknown because he's better than this. So I'm confused why he actually took this project on in the first place and couldn't see the flaws in this movie because they're blaring. They're blaring. The faults in this movie and the logic holes in this movie. You can't avoid them unless you don't know what a logic hole is or flaw is.
Like, first of all, either it exposes that all these critics are clowns like we always think they are, but I think that some of them are also looking at this through rose-colored glasses. Like, it's almost like the Emperor's New Wardrobe, whatever you want to call it, that they're trying to say that it's good, even though it's not good. Only this lady made me laugh because she wrote, I think, the truth. Most of the people don't. This Lynn Benhouse, I don't know who she is. She wrote, unlike director Steven Spielberg's superior supernatural sci-fi thrillers, the classics, this mostly incoherent and inconsistent ramble fails to pull heartstrings and mutes the director's trademark shock and awe. And I think that's probably the only review out of these like hundreds of reviews just like glazing him that somebody wrote the truth here. Because all the others are like, oh, Emily Blunt steals the show. She's a good actress. There's nothing to steal. This one tried, some of them are kind of like, in the middle. They're like, oh, it's E.T. meets Minority Report, but largely lacks the magic of his best films. So some of them are a little kind of ambiguous about it, but most of them are just glazing
being
him.
kind. Yeah, they're being kind. That's what, because it's Spielberg.
Being super kind. Listen, I like Spielberg. I respect Spielberg, but I can't watch a movie that I think that is really not good and just say like, wow, he's done it again. He's not done it again. And we don't need to enable him. We need to this movie cost $115 million to make. 10 new filmmakers could have made great movies with this. Why did he do this thing?
I don't know. I
Sorry, go
don't
on.
know. I just don't know. Look, as I said, right, movie making these days and TV shows and stuff like that, it's all becoming something unrecognizable now, in my opinion. It's recognizable, but it isn't. The quality and the art of actually making films now is being lost because films are evolving and I don't know where it's going. So if something like this could be accepted and people are saying it's good, then we're lost in the art form as far as I'm concerned. If people can't tell what's good or not, that's all I'm saying. It's a bit deep, isn't it? There you go.
Jeremy
Yeah,
Johns says you walk out feeling a little more optimistic. Usually he's like a little more based. I don't know why he would say this. This is not true.
maybe shilling. It's
Uh,
not. Look, all I know is that when people, right, are respected for what they do, all it takes is someone with a shitload of money to make them go to the dark side, right? Could happen to anyone. Could happen to Spielberg. Do you know what I mean? Although he doesn't really need the money.
Here, this person, David Kopp's script lacks economy and logic. And as
Yeah.
hard as the veteran director tries to conjure something magical or meaningful, it eludes him. I accept that. I mean, I will
accept
say
that.
this, and I said this at the beginning. If you would have given him a decent screenplay, I'm sure he could have made a serviceable movie, if nothing else. But the
Yeah.
screenplay is so weak. And like you said, Ian, first draft. It's a first draft of a first draft. This is not something that you film. The fact that Spielberg said, okay, well, let's do this, and he didn't see any problem reading the script. He didn't see a problem, means that he's not where he was. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be mean, but he's not Jaws, Steven Spielberg. He's not Indiana Jones, the trilogy, not the shit that came later. But you know what I'm trying to say.
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make out that the aliens is going to stop World War III. They care about humanity, and this is this and the powers that be is trying to stop them from actually making humanity better.
Or
That's what I
that
think
if
he's trying to say.
governments would stop keeping stuff, stop hiding stuff from humanity, then we would obviously have world peace. That's I think what they're saying. If that's which is ridiculous, frankly.
But you know all those stories. There's one story, apparently it's true, where they shot a rocket. They were testing this rocket, wherever in America, and then these aliens came and they zapped the rocket. And then somebody actually shot it on Super 16 and then the government confiscate. You hear that story? That's an old one. No? Anyone? So there is this myth that the aliens are trying to warn us that if we keep going the way we're going, we're going to eliminate ourselves. And apparently the aliens care about humanity and they're trying to point us in the right direction, but not stepping forward and saying we exist. They want us to do it by ourselves. So there's that conspiracy theory. So maybe that's what Spielberg is trying to say, that the bad guys are trying to keep all of this from us because they want oil, they want to make money, they want to be, certain people on the earth want to be powerful. They don't want the earth to be, a community where they see what's going on. And I think that was the message of the film, I think, but I'm guessing, obviously. So there you go.
This movie for me, it pains me to say this. Like, I wanted it to be at least halfway decent. This is not a good movie. And I think also, I hate to say it, but I think of what Tarantino says, that he's like, I don't want to be at some older age making movies, because any good director that becomes older and makes movies, they're usually not good. And I always think about it. And you know what? I think that I know what he's trying to say.
Yeah, but he's made terrible movies. The one where they're in the snow with Samuel L. Jackson. It was a Western.
The Hateful Eight. You know
that
what?
Was awful.
Okay.
That was awful.
Okay.
Come on.
I'll tell you this. You could say it was awful, but it was still put together in a way that was like coherent. I will still take that movie over the one that I saw today.
Yeah, it's better. It's better.
Like, you could say you don't like that style. It's kind of an old throwback to an old Western or whatever it is. It's not my favorite movie of his, Hateful Eight, maybe my least favorite movie of his, but I didn't watch it thinking that I'm not watching a movie. The plot moved along, the story moved along. You could have whatever issues you have with it, but it was still a movie. This was a first draft of a first draft. Hateful
Yeah, it
Eight, you
was.
may not like the final script, but it is a final script.
No, but it had a logic flaw as well. Those people hiding underneath the floorboards, why don't they just come out and shoot everybody? No, they stayed there for how long? For what reason? That's the
Mm.
biggest logic flaw in that film. And yet
You know,
people seem to ignore it.
I've only watched it once, but now that you mention it, maybe I that does seem weird. I remember that such a thing happens. That's like a big twist in the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. I don't know why they're hiding there.
Exactly. So, but anyway, I mean, he says that, oh, when you reach a certain point as a director, you should stop making films. But yet he's doing the same thing. You know, I understand what Tarantino was saying, and I do like Tarantino. I think he's very talented as well, incredibly talented, in fact. But sometimes he says things that because he's Tarantino, you tend to believe it. But then when you look closely, it's not really right. Do you know what I mean? And that is a case in point, that Hateful Eight thing. But anyway, I step back. So there you go.
Bottom line is, he probably this movie cost $115 million to make. I don't think it's making back its money. It needs to make
No,
like
it's not.
Ooh,
it
no.
needs to make like 300 or 200, and for the 300, I don't know what to.
I don't think there's a lot of people who are interested in seeing this in the first place, and this is not going to have good word of mouth.
I think
this
this
is
is going to be a flop.
Yeah, it's as I said, this film could have been so much better. It could have been the alien that was captured by the government contacts these two kids. These two kids go on a journey to disclose he's real. You know what I mean? It could have been something like that.
Isn't
But
that
it wasn't. It was
the plot
convoluted.
Isn't that the plot of the movie Paul?
No, he escaped. He escaped from where it was, didn't he? And he was driving with those two idiots. But you know, this thing, I don't know. You look. I look. The more I think about it, I think it was the first draft. There's so many things that's not explained in the script. And you know what? Right, I'm confused. Was Spielberg convinced to do this, and he didn't really want to do it? Because that's what it feels like to me. I don't know. There's something wrong here that doesn't ring true about the whole thing, about the whole concept of it. I don't know. What do you guys think? He's not that stupid.
I had no idea. Maybe this, thought maybe this was going to be a return to form, a return to more, these science fiction aliens encountering humans kind of stories that he's obviously done before and done very successful with. I can't tell you what he was thinking. All I can tell you is anyone with half a brain knows this was not a good script.
No, I'll
this was
tell
a
you,
very poor film.
I'll tell you what I think. He had that kind of West Side Story that didn't go well. He made those Fablemans, which was a very personal story that I also think didn't speak to a lot of people. And I think maybe he said, you know what? I'm going back to my roots. I'm going to call John Williams, calling David Cupp or whatever his name is. Let's get the band back together. Let me show everybody what I do when I do sci-fi. And then he's like, this is it. And even when he was filming it, he's like, I'm keeping it under wraps. He's keeping it a secret and all this other shit. I'm like, bro, this is nothing to, you should, if you were going to keep anything secret, I would have kept the entire movie a secret and never shown it to anybody. But do you remember that he didn't want to tell people he was filming? He's like teasing and doing all this stuff. I think that he really thought to himself that this is it. This is his big comeback into sci-fi. And it couldn't be further from the truth. This is a complete miserable failure that's going to lose money, and it's going to be one of the worst things on his resume in his career. Even with all these weirdos now that are glazing him, one day these same weirdos will reevaluate this movie and say what it is that we're saying. But of course, they're not doing it now because now they have whatever agendas they have to do.
Well, apparently I'm simping for Spielberg, according to Emperor.
You're totally a Spielberg fanboy.
I love Spielberg. I think Spielberg's a genius. But again, right, if you look at his work in the past and you know who he is, I question, how could he not know this screenplay was bad? anyone reading that would know it's bad. I'm
He's
just
just not what he
confused.
was. I mean,
You just
listen,
Yeah,
he's
maybe.
almost 80. He's almost 80. I think that at some
Mm,
point when you're like 80, the fact that you
mm,
even went to a set and told some people what to do and they went and did something is already like
yeah.
an achievement. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying that, it becomes more difficult. It's one thing. I think that if he was like worked at an office and needed to come in a few hours and have a few meetings with people and talk a little bit business and leave and have lunch, maybe he could do that. But being a
Yeah.
director and like somebody with the expectations of like a Spielberg, you have to be like this creative, spark. You have to be something that I think at this moment
Mm.
he's not really there. He's a
No, it's
billionaire.
not.
And he has billions of dollars. I mean, let me put it this way: the Rolling Stones, okay. People have been watching them. They've been touring. They were like 500 years old. They're still touring and all that stuff. Now, the thing with the Rolling Stones is when people go see their tour, what do they want to listen to? Do they want to listen to the album they released a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? They don't want to listen to any of that shit. They all want to listen to stuff that was written probably 50 years ago and more. They want to
Yeah.
listen to Jumping Jack Flash. They want to listen
Yep.
to Satisfaction, maybe some Wild Horses or some other shit. Angie and whatever the fuck they sing. That's what people are willing to listen to. They're not going there. Maybe the most they'll do like Start Me Up from 1980 or whatever it is, but that's it. There's a certain
Mm.
year that already nobody gives a shit. They could have released 70 albums. We don't know what those albums are. They don't even know what those albums are. You know what I mean? I bet you if you find Keith Richards now and ask him to tell you what happened in all those 70 albums in the past like 50 years, he doesn't know shit. He knows Satisfaction, Jumping Jack Flash, and Angie.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Wild Horses. It's all the guy fucking knows.
But another thing I found really stupid in the script, and there was no need for it either, is the animals thing. Remember that bit where
Yeah.
they look out the window and all the deers are looking at them? I was like, what was the point in that? So were you saying the aliens has invaded these animals just to look at them for one reason? It's like, what was the point of that?
Yeah,
If you took it out, the movie wouldn't have made any difference either.
they used them as a means of communicating with the and oh man, the one where the dream sequence where they're going back to
yeah.
her childhood,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
CGI for those animals there is awful. It is so bad.
It was
And
bad.
that fox as well when they meet.
Yeah,
Right,
the fox
it
is
looks
terrible.
awful.
Yeah, the fox is in that
Yeah.
same scene. Yeah, he's in a
How
different
did
scene
they
as
not
well,
have?
but it
How
looks
did they not
awful.
have better CGI? It looked awful. You're right.
Yeah, it's just it didn't make any sense. It didn't lead to anything why they would invade animals and stuff like that. And and again, right? It's this is this feels like a first draft script. That's what it feels like to me. And I'm just disappointed with the whole thing. I think it's the worst Spielberg film ever. And
Worse.
you know what? Everybody says that 1941 is the worst Spielberg film. It isn't. Actually, 1941 is very entertaining as far as I'm concerned. And the myth is that it flopped, and it didn't flop. It made its money back. So, but this film is the worst Spielberg film.
This one is the worst one. No, nothing.
Ever made. Yeah.
You can try to say any other movie, but none of the other movies are like this one. This one was one that
Absolutely.
you sit and you feel bad for him while you're watching it because it's an
Yeah.
incoherent mess. There's things that like this looks like a screenplay that if a student, I studied film and I was in a class where you have to write a screenplay and give it to like be reviewed and things like that. If I would have handed in this screenplay, it wouldn't have fared well in a professional class. You know what I mean? And the fact that Spielberg couldn't tell and couldn't see this, that's a problem. The reason why I also mentioned the Rolling Stones, because what I was trying to say is when you're 20, when you're 30, when you're 40, you're probably going to have better ideas than when you're 80. You know what I mean? Once you're 80, I don't think your best ideas are in front of you. And, I will say this. Not everybody's 80 is the same. You can find one guy who's 80 who's like still on top of his game. And you can find a guy who's 80 who's maybe not 100% like, as good as he was, in a certain field. And it's fine. I don't think anybody, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think you should take $115 million and keep making movies like this. I think if anything, if I were him, I would say like, I want $5 million to make a movie. Make small movies, make personal movies, do something really small and show, Do something, go back to your roots, do something minor that people don't have many expectations. I was telling a professor that this week I saw a movie called Power Ballad that was made.
Yeah, I
Some
saw
people
your
say,
review.
did
Yeah,
you see it? Some people say
I did. Yeah.
it costs like 7 million. Some people said 8 million. Some people 10 million. But let's put it this way, or it cost 10 and Ireland gave them back money. I don't really know. But let's say it cost $7 to $10 million to make that movie. That movie, I sat there, didn't even like, I was 100% zoned in on the movie from the beginning till the end. It also didn't overstay its welcome like this one. This one felt very long. That one was like an hour and 40 minutes or whatever it is, an hour and 39, hour 40 minutes. Perfect time. It does what it needs to do. It tells its story. It's like a guy with $7 to $10 million made, he worked with a script. He wrote and directed it. Whoever that James Carney, whatever his name is, wrote and directed a movie that has logic and makes sense. One scene leads to another scene. All of this stuff, and he did that for like, maybe less. I don't know what 7% of Steven Spielberg's budget. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really embarrassing. Even if I look at Obsession, I look at those movies. A guy with $750,000 made a movie that made more sense to me than this one here.
Yeah, it's not.
I
It's
won't
not a
say
good
the
film at all.
Backrooms fully made sense because that one had issues. But even Backrooms made more sense in this movie. I'm sorry.
Backrooms was like I think it was just a dream, wasn't it? That's what he was trying to create, some kind of dream.
Well, that's
sensibility in that film.
that's the whole genre of the Backrooms kind of stuff, like the liminal spaces. They're supposed to feel like these areas that are they're real, but they're not real. They're they're sort of in between. There's a very much a dreamlike situation there. Yeah, the problem with that movie is just like it didn't have an interesting story to tell. It had part of it had part of an interesting story to tell. Using the back rooms, but then it just sort of forgets about it and walks away. And then, the ending was awful.
War of the Worlds, Spielberg's War of the Worlds wasn't very good, in my opinion. I mean, that was definitely a Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah, I didn't like that film.
I've never understood why, after all these years, they haven't made a proper War of the Worlds movie ever.
I don't know, but I want to quickly say that
you didn't like the one from the 50s?
No, because it's not true to the book. It's
you're
in America.
Right. It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
Quickly, a few things. Granola Grin says, a guy like Spielberg likely had at least a few scripts, treatments, spin-off concepts from the time he worked on Close Encounters, AI, War of the Worlds, and just stitched the ideas together. Maybe yes, maybe no, but he stitched them very poorly together. And the other thing I'll say is, if you're watching this channel and you maybe came from one of my other social medias or other accounts, make sure you're subscribed to this channel right here, because this is the one where there's like all these like wonderful live streams. Where else are you going to
like this one?
Like this one. Where else in the middle of the night are you going to be able to hear a conversation with me, Mega Geek, and Professor R2 talking about Spielberg? I mean, the fun never stops here at the Night Owl, and you can subscribe now. And if you're on Rumble, which is our headquarters, you should definitely sign up for Rumble. If you're just listening through the app and you haven't signed up, signing up is free. Premium is also good, but if you're not going to do the premium, sign up for free. Then do notifications so that you always know when we're streaming. So then you'll never miss a stream, because that's exactly what you need. You need to be on every stream. You need to listen to all these streams. Very, very important stuff. Sound like James Gunn.
If you look at Spielberg's history, he's never written, even though it said he wrote Close Encounters, he didn't really. The history behind that is very complicated. So Spielberg has never written a screenplay and then he shot it. Raiders of the Ark wasn't written by him. Close Encounters, even though he got the credit, written by him, didn't really write it. E.T. wasn't written by him. What Spielberg is, he's a visionary and he's a brilliant director. He can take a scene from a script that he hasn't written and shoot it in such a way that it looks brilliant. And then you've got an editor that will edit it all together and pace it well. That's Spielberg's power, is visionary. He can see something, he can figure out how to direct it better than anyone. So when it comes to screenplays, Lord knows why he accepted this one, because it's awful. Screenplay is awful, as far as I can tell. And that's what he does, So there you go. Don't take my word for it. Look, try and find out the history of what he's done, which I have. So there you go. But yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say more about this movie. I just think it fails big
There's
time.
really not a lot to say about it. It is a huge disappointment. I want to be nice to Spielberg. I want to say, "Oh, I would give him a passing grade," but the truth is, he really doesn't deserve a passing grade. I hate to say it. I feel
Mm,
bad. I understand even some of these shows that want to glaze him. I understand why. He's a genius. You want to show him that respect, but I
yeah,
can't pretend that this movie is good. This movie
nor could
is
I.
not good, and I can't
No.
pretend that it is. It's just I have to have some integrity here as well. And if he made a kind of shitty movie, we have to admit it. Like I can't lie to people.
Yeah, yeah. It is. It's not good. The film's not good. What can I say? I'm not recommending it. You
Nope.
can go and see it if you want to, but I can't recommend it because it's so full of logic holes
It's
right
not a
across the
fun
board.
experience. It's not even the logical like, sometimes maybe you've seen a movie that had a few holes, but you're like, "Okay, but I'm having fun, so I'll go along with it." But
Yeah.
here, there's no fun to be had. There's nothing about this movie that you think, "Okay, it's a fun ride," even though if you, like, stop to think about it, there's nothing like that. It's not a fun ride. It's a miserable, miserable ride with a lot of weird shit that doesn't make any sense, that feels half-assed, ill-conceived, not thoroughly written, and it seems like the movie lasts forever. Like the movie never ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it drags on.
Yeah.
This could easily have been an hour shorter.
Hours shorter. After an hour, I was looking at my thing and I'm like, "Fuck!" There's another
Nearly,
like hour and something to this movie.
yeah, nearly two and a
Shit.
half hours. It's rough. Yeah.
Mm.
Somebody is saying better or worse than Hook. I love Hook compared to this movie. What the
Oh,
fuck
Hook
Yeah.
is
is
Hook
Hook's
has
better.
Robin
Yeah.
Williams in it and like Dustin Hoffman. That movie, like you can say whatever you want about it. It's fine. It's maybe you could say it's not his best. You could have done better. I don't hate Hook. Hook is a movie. It has a plot. It makes some kind of, it has some kind of logic within that movie. I don't hate Hook. This is nothing. You can't even mention Hook in this in the same sentence. Hook is a movie. This I don't know what it is.
It's funny, as I said, if you look at every film that Spielberg has directed, even West Side Story, the way his film starts, it really does make you go, right, yeah, we're on a journey. But this film starts off with wrestling. The guy's kicking the screen, and you're
kicking you
what
in
the
the
hell
face,
is this?
kicking the viewer in the face. The start is the
viewer.
start of the
That
movie.
is, it never stops.
Like, what?
That basically sets the tone for the entire movie.
And then halfway
Enemy
through,
Williams,
it's a train wreck. Literally.
and the train wreck, yeah, that and the kicking you in the face. Price, Emily Blunt getting tied up. Surely that was good. No, it was Bono's daughter that got tied up. It was the
Yeah, it was.
nun
Yeah.
that didn't want to be a nun because she wanted to not be a nun. She was the one that was tied up. Emily Blunt was not tied up.
Who was the actual nun that she was speaking to? 'Cause she looked really familiar, and I couldn't
Allison
really place.
Janney, I think. I think it's Allison Janney. I could be wrong.
Right, right.
She was
Oh
on like
yeah.
Moms with like what's her name with Chris Pratt's ex-wife. Oh
Mm.
fuck, I
That's
can't remember.
wait, Sister
Wasn't it Allison Janney?
Mora.
Was I wrong? I thought it was Allison
Sister
Janney.
Mora is Elizabeth Marvel.
Okay. Sorry. I always there's two actresses that I confuse between them: Allison Janney and Elizabeth Marvel. Elizabeth Marvel is the one they call when I think Allison Janney is busy.
Is
And
busy.
is busy. Then they call like Elizabeth Marvel. Elizabeth Marvel, I think she was on. I remember her on Homeland as she plays like some president that was like a bitch.
All
I
right.
remember her on different shows. She's popped up in different places, but again, look at Allison Janney, look at Elizabeth Marvel, and you'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
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 As I said, it's a very different film to what he's done in the past. I hated West Side Story, but at least the direction was freaking awesome. Some of the wonders he does in West Side Story is absolutely brilliant. And what else? The Fablemans I haven't seen because I think that's a bit weird that you would want to personally make a film about your own life. I think it's a bit, what's the word I'm looking for?
Pompous.
Self-indulgent. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I didn't watch it. I have no plans watching it. But even like to small films like Duel, how amazing that film is, the way he directed that film. And he was only what, 21 or 22 when he directed that one. So yeah, his spark is gone. Judging by this film, totally gone. So I don't know. Is there
Yep.
another film in them? Who knows? Who knows?
Hard to say otherwise, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a
Yeah.
great film.
No, it's not. Not at
By
all.
the way, another thing, that's been going on in the past few days, and I don't know if we got a chance to talk about, is that Doctor Who, that whole situation is also pretty
Oh.
embarrassing.
Oh.
Has there been any new developments with that? I just I know that Russell T
Well,
Davies. I couldn't believe that Russell T Davies posted that shit the other day, and
yeah. But you heard what Proppy said, right, when we were on Ian's
yeah,
stream.
no, I thought it was interesting. But were there any other
Yeah.
developments, or nobody's talking about it anymore?
No, not really. It's done, isn't it? I mean, um, the BBC's put out this report where it's going to come back, but I don't know, and I don't really care anymore because look, I put I put something out on a Facebook page how woke destroyed it, and I got a lot of people attacking me. I don't really answer them. I just read it and I laugh. One says you're a fucking prick. The other one says,
Monoferous,
yes. And all this nonsense that's coming to me. Some of them agree, some of them they don't. They don't. But it just goes to show, what you're up against when you make a show or you make a film or whatever. That it's never going to be, you're always going to get criticism, right? But the truth is, right, Doctor Who was destroyed by people who wanted to inject their agenda into it, and that's all I can say about that. If it wasn't for that, it would still be on the air. So yeah,
no doubt.
Mm.
A lot of bad decisions on the BBC's end, and
Well, they don't care, do they?
no, they don't care.
No, they don't care.
I'm just wondering. I wanted to. I wonder to myself if I analyzed it correctly. When it was how when they announced the Christmas special, I wonder what I said about it at the time, because I always like looking back to see if I gave a good analysis or not.
The Christmas special, right, was look, this is what I heard, right? He'd write whether it be a screenplay or a treatment, he'd wrote 3 because he didn't know who he was going to get. One for Billy Piper, one for David Tennant, and another one without them. And that's what I heard. But according to Proby, he didn't write anything. And after the run with Silly Gatwick, they were done. They knew it was going to stop. So I don't know what to believe anymore. I really don't. And quite frankly, I don't care. Doctor Who stopped when Bacaldi said, "Doctor, I let you go." That's as far as I'm concerned. That's where it stopped. Everything else beyond that is rubbish. Yeah. Hello, sir. How are you?
John.
You. John, you.
As soon as I click away to look at another window, you ask me how I'm doing.
He's watching Disclosure and another Disclosure.
No. Don't watch it.
By the way, there's one last thing about Disclosure Day I want to say that I absolutely this was fun. I was just pointing this out because we were talking about here's the magical USB drives that they have that are supposed to securely store all of this data that's been hidden from the public. So it's like they say that the technology they have is all based on alien technology they've had. So they have all this advanced technology. So he's carrying around these dozens and dozens of drives that he has. And of course, then they show him copying the data over. Each one of these drives is 64 gigs. So it's just pathetic. That's
the size of my iPod.
It's hilarious. Yeah, it's like, but that's the thing. Like you literally, that's so little storage. They don't even sell brand new iPhones with that little storage in it now.
But wouldn't they have a copy of all of them? I don't understand. Wouldn't they? That's the thing.
Copy? Like he should be carrying 3 or 4 of these that are 8, 10 terabytes of data or something, and then he could hide them or send them off, but pop them in the mail to somebody or whatever. Like it's silly that he's got to carry around these dozens of drives, and then they end up being like tiny, like ridiculously small.
Should have copied them.
But yeah, exactly. They should have had a copy of much bigger drives. But the biggest, one of the biggest things for me that was just completely ruined this movie is that you already kind of the real tension of the movie is already gone because they put it in the title, and then they repeatedly show it to you in the trailers. Is there going to be disclosure? Well, yeah, there is, because we saw it in the trailer and they told us in the title. So
Disclosure day.
The fundamental tension of the film, the drama. Well, they're going to get there. There's going to be disclosure day because that's the title of the movie.
Mind,
and then they also
that.
they say disclosure day in the movie too. So they got to have the calling out the title, saying the thing.
I remember a lot of people said that about Search for Spock. Oh yeah, you're going to find Spock because the film's called Search for Spock. But it's not about that. It's not about the conclusion. It's about the journey. Mm-hmm. That's what you go to see the film for. I don't mind if they call it disclosure day. We knew there was going to be something that was going to be disclosed towards the end of the movie, but the way they presented it was awful. Ending it with "listen." Do you know what I mean? It's like, what a cop out. Anyway, I shall stop there.
I'm done. We're done talking about this movie, unless Sean saw it and wants to say something.
I wanted to, but I don't know about it now.
Oh,
go for it,
I wouldn't
Sean.
waste my time, honestly.
No. Let's go for it. Go for it. I reckon you should go for it.
Because Sean gets so much time during the week to go see movies.
I saw Masters the other day. I'm sorry I didn't get to hang out with you guys after that. Yeah.
What did you think?
Of Disclosure Day? I don't know. I
No,
barely
of
even knew
Masters.
it came out today. It's a mess. It has chunks of things that I like, and then overall it just won't shut the F up with all the jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it. I think I heard there were like 6 writers on it, and I think 3 of them wanted to tell a good heroic story, and then the other 3 were there to undercut everything.
Yep.
And it also felt like it desperately wanted to be 80s Flash Gordon. Right up until I realized that it was a member from Queen doing the soundtrack.
Yeah, and they throw a Queen song in there too, which I didn't mind, honestly, although except it's a reference to Highlander, which they referenced earlier in the movie, and they're referencing it because Amazon is making a Highlander movie. That's why, I'm sure that's why it got put in there, but they, there are so many parts of that movie that for me were just ruined by the jokiness. And even especially the scene with that, with Princes of the Universe being played, where I was generally watching it going, oh, all right, now we're getting to it. Now we're going to get the heroic moment. We're going to get them kicking ass. And then they interrupt it with silly, jokey crap. And I was like, God damn it.
There's all kinds of thoughts I had on it, but
wait 1 second.
The world moves on.
I want to do a time machine, no pun intended, and see what I said for a second about this thing. When they announced the thing with what's his face, with Doctor Who. So I want to show you these 30 seconds. Part of their obligations, but if you're the BBC at this moment, this is a major, major disaster. And of course, they tried. This is from 7 months ago. To put a brave face on it, the BBC are saying, hey, it's not going anywhere. At the end of 2026, there's going to be a Christmas special from Russell T Davies. That's like over a year away. And what exactly is going to happen after that? Probably nothing. This whole announcement of even doing a Christmas special, apparently with Russell T Davies, it's really just a way to save face. It's a way to say, hey, we had this partner for a while, it was nice, but now we're going to do some other things. But there really isn't much more that they can do. So, I thought that was a good analysis.
Yeah. They wrote themselves into a corner.
The second they said that Christmas special, I didn't believe. I thought maybe they would do the Christmas special, but more than anything, they had to save face. You know what I mean? They didn't want to just say Disney jumped ship and there's no money. They wanted to say, well, we're parting ways with Disney, but don't worry, there's going to be a Christmas special because everything's business as usual. And it was obvious that it wasn't business as usual. So, Sean, you didn't like He-Man.
I'm of mixed opinions. There's parts that I like, and then there's parts that I absolutely hate.
I didn't like it at all. I didn't think it was a good movie, and I know that some people. The what it reminded me is this, and I probably told this to Professor. There's the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Sean, you know Nick the backyard TARDIS, you know him.
Hmm.
A long time ago, this is a number of years ago. I would say, oh, I kind of enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy 1, and then Nick would tell me I hated that movie. That's like the worst movie. Hate that. And I said, really? Why do you hate it so much? And he said, well, I'm actually one of the only people that read that comic, and I think that when I watched the movie, the way they presented Star Lord and what they did with the characters there wasn't really true to the spirit of what I read in the comics. And
Hmm.
what I thought to myself, and what I answered him was, it's such a kind of, it's not a comic that everybody's familiar with. So I think that James Gunn could get away with a lot of things there because it wasn't something that was like universally known. So even if he took something and he changed it so much that it's like not recognizable, most of the people just didn't even realize it. Now,
Hmm.
with He Man, I think that there's enough people that don't care that much and we're willing to accept that they're just giving a completely different interpretation for it. But if you actually did like it at some point, if you liked something about it, if you liked the spirit of it, this new movie, in my opinion, doesn't stay true to that spirit at all.
No, it felt a lot like He-Man meme the movie, and
He Man meme, yeah.
they were also embarrassed to even be there doing it.
Yeah, it's another one of those situations where, as opposed to, let's say, Cobra Kai, where the people doing it love the Karate Kid and they love being there and doing this, it doesn't feel like a labor of love. It feels like you said, Sean. Some people that are probably younger, grew up with memes, thinks it's a joke, think, how do we sit around and poke fun at it and make like a self parody? I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like, I personally just don't need that. I don't think that that's the way to go about it. And obviously, at the end, the movie didn't do well. So if they were trying to lure in all these people, they didn't manage to do it. I would have preferred a much lower budget movie that has a lot more heart and even less effects and less dazzling, but give the movie some heart. And this movie had none, in my opinion.
That's like with the stormtroopers. Every time they start doing that stupid stormtroopers can't shoot anything meme and they start forcing it into the actual stuff, I'm like, you're just ruining all of this. You're ruining all tension, and it was the same kind of spirit. Um,
You know why it's not only memes, it's meta. The meta humor is
mhm,
what I don't like. Marvel, the MCU at some point really leaned into
Hmm.
the meta humor and leaned into it too much, and then suddenly everybody wanted to be meta all the time. But
mhm.
meta can be an interesting joke once in a blue moon. If your whole movie is just over meta, goofy meta, at the end there's no kind of backbone to it. There's no hearts. There's no heart. There's nothing really holding it together. That's how I felt
Mhm.
with this He-Man thing.
It also made me is if like because it wanted to be Flash Gordon so bad. I love Flash Gordon from the 80s. It's campy, but it's not
Hmm.
obnoxious. This movie was obnoxious with the humor, and it just made me think this is exactly the type of movie we would get if Taiki Wakiti, whatever, I forget his name,
Woke
uh,
kitty.
Woke Titty, if he was given Flash Gordon to remake, this is the movie you would get, and I'm so glad. Like, I love He-Man. I loved him growing up. But I'm so glad if he has to be sacrificed for Flash Gordon, I'm okay with that for now.
Uh, Price of Reason Live. You didn't mention that Normal was a comedy. I enjoyed it. I told you. I didn't say it was humorous. I told you I liked it. I'm the only person that saw Normal in the theater, and I went here and I said I kind of liked that movie. And then
I
it was
saw it. I saw Normal. Is it Normal you're talking about?
the one with Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, I saw it. I thought
I
it was
saw it in the
okay.
theater, and I quite enjoyed it.
It was only the film worked because of Bob Odenkirk.
Yes,
If
he
Bob
totally
Odenkirk wasn't
carried
in
it,
it,
but you know what?
yeah,
He was good in it. It was a
yeah.
it was a movie. Here we talk about things, you know, you could take things not too seriously and watch it because it was
Mm.
fun. You know how I was saying that Disclosure Day, you can't just let it slide because it's no fun and it's just miserable. The Normal was the opposite. There's a lot of things that you need to suspend disbelief, but Bob Odenkirk approaches this with so much fun that you're having fun watching it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he carried it. So
I
I'm eating my
totally agree.
breakfast. He carried it completely from
Completely.
start to finish. If it wasn't for him, that movie would just have been ordinary.
Probably. It would have been normal.
Normal.
Yeah, no, I think I totally enjoyed his performance in the movie. I enjoyed the movie. And also, again, it wasn't made for a gazillion dollars. It was a relatively lower budget movie. Not $2. It's not like, it didn't cost Obsession money. But from what I understood, like that one was somewhere, between 15 to $20 million it cost. And I don't mind. Like, listen, I don't mind getting movies that cost around that range and give me a bunch of them that are more enjoyable to watch rather than, this kind of thing like Disclosure Day, 115 million.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
worth the money. It wasn't worth $115 million.
But that suffered even though I enjoyed Normal, that suffered from a bit of a script problem as well. Halfway through it, they did this
Again,
thing
when
that
you
didn't
when you
make
have
any
a fun
sense.
when you have a smaller movie and a fun production
Yeah.
and it needs to make between the budget is between 15 to 20 million, you could be a bit forgiving, when you watch it, when it's a smaller movie, you could be a bit more forgiving. I will also say that there's movies that I've grown up with throughout the years that that there's a certain level of comedy to them and a bit of humor, and you're not supposed to take them overly serious because there's some of the stuff that happens there is almost cartoonish, but I feel like Bob Odenkirk like I said, his performance, like he knows how to bring this kind of subtle humor to it that you kind of just accept it, even
Yeah,
if
he's
if it's preposterous.
Yeah, he's very laid back, and plus the
Yes.
fact that anything that he's in, you're rooting for him because he's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
His aura comes across as really nice, no matter what he's doing. So yeah, it works for him.
Eminem says so many midstream ads price. I hope we get a lot of money for them. I got like $3 for them. I don't know. I don't even. I try to say don't like do it moderate. I don't really know how to control it. But there's a part that they could ask. I always thought that just at the beginning you see like an ad or something, and I also do that because I worry that if I don't do that, maybe I'm not getting with the program. So I do that. It's not a big. If you're wondering if it's a big money maker, to date it hasn't been. But
it does come when you stop. If I'm watching something of yours, Price, and I stop it, and I go for a piss, and they come back, and I play it, an advert comes on. So it does. It depends when you stop it. I don't think there's an advert. Is there one
you
in the live?
shouldn't be taking pisses while watching my videos. That's the moral.
Well, yeah. When you gotta go, you gotta go.
I didn't know that I was.
Movie.
I didn't know that was my thing. Like you click the video and immediately like you got to go to the bathroom.
Gotta go for a piss.
Taking the piss out of it. Yeah.
I don't know. What else is there to talk about, guys?
Well, it's not that interesting. I was just going to ask Professor, I guess it's final now. Spencer Pratt, like there's absolutely nothing he can do. He's just screwed. It's kind of sad. It feels like something feels very. Yeah.
He was always screwed.
I guess.
Because he is in LA and in a state that actively puts laws and practices into place that make it so that you, one, can't actually verify any votes after the fact.
Why can't
outright
you contest the results or something, do a recount or anything like it? This is just so bizarre.
Too much power.
The recount can only be called for by the state. It can't. There's no one else that can call for it. You can't. Somebody who's part of the election, someone who is running for office can't call for a recount, whatever. There's no procedure. It has to be called for by a state court. And they have also blocked outside groups from auditing their elections. They have passed laws preventing outside groups from auditing elections. So there's literally no way to verify the vote. And they've blocked it so that no one can try.
That means they lost.
When Big Sur River says dystopian, that is absolutely right. It is dystopian. It is terrible. And
They lost.
Ista mentions Adam Carolla has been showing there's a video that's been going around with people interviewing hundreds of different homeless people who say they were outright paid money by canvassers for the Democratic Party to sign their registration paperwork and have their stuff, their papers sent to a specific address. And that's another thing that California allows that a lot of other states have started to block now. And that is that you can collect, you can do what's called ballot harvesting, where one person can walk up to a drop box or walk up to an electoral office and drop off dozens, hundreds of ballots that they've collected on behalf of those people. In order for me in my state to deliver someone else's ballot, we both have to sign the exterior envelope saying, I have authorized this person to deliver my ballot. And it's tricky, right? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and there's no way. I mean, everyone's, oh, you can't prove unless you can prove that there was some kind of stolen election, then you need to shut up. And it's like, well, first of all, they've made it so that it can't be proven that it was stolen. They've made sure that all of those avenues are closed. But what we can prove is the math. We can look at the way that the votes came in and say, wait, okay, so you're saying, oh, well, Democrats, more of them vote by mail, more of them send their votes in late, whatever. Okay, sure, whatever. But why then did we not see more votes for Karen Bass in those later, in the
Doesn't make
later
any sense.
ballots? All you saw was this sudden massive influx of votes for Raman. So it statistically makes no sense. There was someone online that was saying basically for her to have gained that many votes, to have that many votes come in at that point in that drop, not just, come in regularly throughout the election, but for all of those to have shown up when they did in the amounts that they did, it's literally like, I can't remember what someone said. It's basically like flipping a coin 6,000 times in a row, and every time it landed on heads. Like that's how likely it is that she would get that many votes and show up at that particular time. It's insane. Yeah.
It's nakedly corrupt. I don't know how you change that.
Wait, there's something.
Phantom Outsider. If you want to pull that up or what?
No, I actually had something else to show, but if you want to show something.
No, I was just going to say Phantom Outsider says film of them giving homeless money and gifts are proof of federal crimes, and the NGO that did it used federal funds. Mm-hmm. I have also heard the same thing.
I've heard a lot of different things. It's just very listen, I don't claim to know everything. I haven't seen all the votes and all the whatever, but I tell you what I tell you every time. I don't care if at the end of this process, if it's a candidate from a Democrat or Republican that gets the vote. I want it to be that everybody goes with their ID, votes in person, and that's it. I don't want to hear any of that other shit. If you're like, stationed abroad as part of the military and you want to give your vote before election day, you can do that. But aside from that, nothing. You go in person. And I am all for creating like a vacation day for it. Remove one of those other weird days that nobody gives a shit about and make that a day that's like, vacation. You're going, you can vote. You know what I mean? No excuses. You go, you show your ID, you vote on election day, that it's a day of like, there's no work that day. That's what it needs to happen. And all of that, if after that, whoever wins, I will be okay with that if that person really won. I'll be okay with everything. I just don't like this idea that somebody's counting for a month, and it seems also kind of strange,
Oh, yeah.
Like the chips will fall where they may. You do that, and people voted for whoever they voted for. That is a democracy, or whatever you want to call it. We're not a democracy, but you know what I'm saying. That's a democratic process. I don't have any problem with that. I don't like the thing where like you mail stuff for years later and things like that. That just it opens the door for trouble, and it's strange that certain people keep wanting that kind of trouble. You know. What I wanted to show you was, which was something completely different, is I just noticed that there was an article that I didn't see before that Doctor Who set to be off air for years amid a creative regeneration that's failing to spark enthusiasm among producers. Did you see this?
No.
So basically, and this is part of what Russell T Davies was whining about, that the BBC basically are looking for new creative partners, and they're like, you guys can be the third party where you produce Doctor Who, kind of like Disney did, and it'll be our property, but you'll produce it. And then, people were basically saying that somebody said, I guess off the record, but a producer, maybe one of the people that was like they discussed it with, said you'd have to be mad to make Doctor Who. And the producer said they were worried about not owning the rights to a series that would likely become a significant drain on resources and creative energy. They also harbored concerns about funding for Doctor Who after the Disney deal, while some expressed more fundamental fears about whether the Time Lord remains relevant to young audiences. You have to be mad to take on the show. It's a bit of a nightmare for any producer in this market with the shadow of the Disney fallout. It's hard to see another major U.S. studio replacing Disney, so the budget would be hard to get above £3 million or $4 million per episode without significant co-pro or insane investment from the distribution arm BBC Studios, which they will struggle to recoup on sales. Basically, they're out of suckers. There's no suckers that want to take this thing on.
That's enough, though. That's the thing. I think it was it 10 million per episode when Disney was doing it, or something like that. That's
something like that.
That would you could do it for less than that. You can do each episode for less than that. You just got to write it clever. That's all you got to do. And also, BBC doesn't really need a partner. All they need to do is make the show unwoke. And also, looking for a new audience is pointless. Right? That the audience for Doctor Who is people in their 40s and 50s and even 60s. You've got to cater to them now. And only through catering to them will a new audience materialize. Because if you are a person in your 40s and you have children and you're watching it, chances are they might start watching it. There's no point in aiming for an audience that doesn't exist. No point at all.
This is all nonsense.
They don't want to listen to that, though. All they want to do is stick their agenda into it. In every show that they do, the BBC.
Couldn't you fix it like you could fix Star Wars? Just say none of that existed for
there's ways to do it. There's ways to make it seem like
fiction. Yeah, you can do it.
I've given some ideas for how to fix it, and a lot of people like them. But there's certainly, you need to bring Peter Capaldi back and establish that everything that happened from the last episode of Capaldi until this new episode of Capaldi will be some kind of strange, surreal dream, spell somebody put on him or something like that. That's what you do, and you just move forward as if all that shit was never existed. That's really the only way you can fix this mess, in my opinion. But as opposed to, let's say, some other shows, it is doable. It is doable. There is a way to make it work. It's just, first of all, you may not win back all the fans that you've already annoyed that don't want to be here anymore. But let's say some people, if there's goodwill and a good group of people comes and does this, maybe some people will still be interested in watching it. Much like with Star Wars and Star Trek, I don't think this franchise will ever be what it was.
Yes, look, I'm very optimistic. I think it will be if it's done properly. If you bring it back properly and you bring it back, I think the audience will come back. If I was in charge, if I was the showrunner, it would be the easiest thing in the world to get 10 million watching Doctor Who. All you need to do is cast a straight white male in the role and have a hot assistant and create some really good stories. That's what you really. And also, you need to eliminate the Jodie Doctor and the silly Gatwick Doctor. That's what you need to do. Eliminate that completely. And the only way to do that is to split the universe in two and say that was that universe and this is this universe. And now we've zapped that universe. They're in the little bowl. And you put it in the TARDIS, and in other words, what you're doing is you're not upsetting the BBC, going, right, I'm going to destroy all of what you did. You're going, right, it still exists, but now it's in a little bowl or something, and they put it in the TARDIS, and that's that. You remember Superman, when Superman had Krypton in a small little bowl or something like that, didn't he? He had like that.
City of Kandor.
Yeah, that's it. That's what you should do to it, And that, the Master wanted to beat the Doctor, but he couldn't beat him in this universe. He decided to create a new universe to try and beat him. And that didn't work. Something like that. Do you know what I mean? Something stupid like that. It's easy. Anything. Because it's a sci-fi.
I totally am, unironically, I'm all for like the Bob Newhart waking up from a dream.
Oh, no. And also, they say that we should reboot the Doctor, but that's just an insult to what went. If you reboot it and destroy everything that came before, that's an insult to the history of Doctor Who. You need to include what went before, but the good stuff that went before, and make sure it's still in the history going forward. Yeah. That's what you need to do.
That's why I've said repeatedly that I think that Doctor Who, out of all of these properties, Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever, that I think Doctor Who is the one that has been damaged the most, is because there's a continuity to it. Right? There's this continuity that runs all the way back into the 1960s, right? All of these different doctors, all of these different stories and these different enemies that they fought, and how all of this kind of feeds together. And having just thrown the character of the Doctor out, in order to insert these different actors and add all these different storylines into it with all kinds of messaging and stuff like that, it's completely devastated. With Star Wars, that one's is kind of in a similar situation. It's rough because you're going to have to figure out a way to erase Rey and all of that BS in order to be able to start to tell good stories again. Star Trek can just say, "Oh, sorry, alternate universe," and then move on.
It's easy to fix Star Wars. You do what they did to the expanded universe and say, "This is all legends. This doesn't exist anymore."
Right. I feel like people are just going to reject that though with the movies. It was one when they did it with the books. If they do it with movies, I think there's going to be people who are going to be really irritated by that. They're going to be really upset.
They can still watch the movies if they
I understand, and I agree. I mean, they've got to get rid of them somehow. Somehow they've got. I mean, I don't think Disney will do it. Disney will never do it until Star Wars is owned by a different property. I think Rey and all of that BS that goes with it stays. I don't think they're ever going to get rid of that stuff. But again, with Star Trek, like I said, like all you have to do is be like, oh yeah, all that Kurtzman stuff, that's just a different universe. Moving on, we're just going to go back and tell stories over here with in this original universe.
As much as I hate Rey and the sequels, I pray that they put her in Starfighter just to see the fallout.
It will be the final nail in the coffin.
Oh, I'm so hoping they use her again.
Also, if they are going to bring back Doctor Who, they really need to make Doctor Who solid. Because, like, even though I'm a Doctor Who fan, I've realised that they've never actually been serious about Doctor Who. Some of this, they've got some really crap stories in Doctor Who, things that don't make any sense. Even in New Who, that things that don't. Remember that one where Bacaldi says to, what's her name, Clara, right? The thing, was it the egg that came out the moon or some nonsense like? Do you remember that story? I can't remember that one. Where he tells Clara to ask the world what they should do. It's like, what are you talking about? You can't ask the world what? So every person on the planet you're going to ask what to do, and they need to vote, as if all the governments would agree to that. Do you know what I mean? But they just gloss over it. So in other words, Doctor Who's got to grow up. It's got to be at the level of, say, something like Fringe or something like that. It's got to have a level and a logic that's solid that you can build upon. Not these stupid ideas like what's it? Some monster coming out the moon, then suddenly the moon is there. Do you know what I mean? Stupid things like floating in space without without a spacesuit, which was it Peter Davison's version, whatever. Do you know what I mean? In Doctor Who, things like that. They should ground it and make sure that it makes sense. That's what they should do. It needs to grow up. Doctor Who needs to grow up, and it needs to talk to adults rather than kids. The only way to attract kids is to do adult things, and kids will be attracted to it, especially if it's cool. So that's what I think anyway. So yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. I don't know why, but I just saw this now. I mean, it's kind of strange coming from him now. Steven Spielberg advice for Obsession and Backrooms director: don't let success go to your heads. I mean, I guess he's in a position to say that even if his latest movie is stinky. I think basically out of the two of them, though, they're not the same. The guy that made Obsession, I think that he showed that he could actually tell a story, whereas the other guy is more of a gimmick. Now, maybe he has some raw talent, and over time, it'll turn out that this gimmick can turn into something more substantial. But the Backrooms guy is not the same, in my opinion, as the Obsession guy.
I saw a thing where the Backrooms guy was like, I want to do a sequel and I want a writing partner or something to help me flush it out. And I'm like, that kind of probably proves your point a little.
I mean, he probably needed one for this movie, this first one, but he got a pass for some reason. I don't really want to give him a pass. I mean, I think he did some things right in the Backrooms movie, and there is a certain like atmosphere that I like, but I can't ignore the writing issues in his movie. So I don't know. I think he needs to work with other people. I think that he's been put on a pedestal too young. The other guy, maybe he'll be okay. Maybe.
They're going to be sucked into Hollywood because money is always the thing that persuades them to
they'll
do
give
something.
them an MCU movie and they'll do shitty movies
Yeah,
in 5 minutes.
they will. They will.
Yeah, that's coming. That's coming fast. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure.
No matter what Spielberg. Sorry, go ahead. Go on.
I was just going to make a joke. I'm sure Kathy is like kicking herself that she couldn't hire them and fire them.
Yeah, they're young, and especially the Obsession guy. He's very talented, as far as I'm concerned.
I thought so too.
I think I think if he's clever enough, I think he'll stay away from Hollywood and try and get money from A24 or the other little ones rather than go with Warner Brothers or whatever. Warner Brothers what's going to happen is Warner Brothers is going to offer him a shitload of money and he's going to say yes. That's what's going to happen. So same thing with the other guy. That's what's going to happen. It's a tale old as time.
Well,
money money drags you to the dark side.
They've been talking about the superhero genre has collapsed. This has happened numerous times, right? We had tons of musicals and people stopped wanting musicals. We had tons of cowboy movies, westerns. People that genre fell off. We had tons of sci-fi that fell off. So recently, we have the superhero movies. Those are falling off. So what's the next thing? Oh, it's going to be video games, right? And now they're seeing these successful YouTubers making movies. So now what's the next thing the studios are going to do? They're going to be looking for YouTubers, influencers, and saying we're going to give them a movie because it worked for Obsession. It worked for Backrooms. So let's let them make a movie. And then 90% of them are going to be absolute trash.
But the thing is, though, I said this in another stream. When something happens like this, Hollywood tries to figure out a way how they can monopolize it. Like when independent films started really kicking off. Let's face it, right? Film festivals started to promote indie films. And then because they were so successful, Hollywood was like, huh? Everybody's going to see these indie films. Whoa, well, we should put our films in. And then suddenly it's all about the big movies in these indie festivals, Sundance, Raindance, everything. They're all trying to make money. They don't really care about the indie films. If you've got a star in your movie, it's going to promote their festival. That's why they do it, right? So this is what that's turned in. And especially indie films as well. When indie films came out, like Clerks and my film Killing Zone and Robert what's his name? When his film came out, the studios went, shit, They're making a lot of money, getting a lot of attention. What can we do? Okay, let's create an arm that says it supports indie films. Oh, Fox Searchlight, and then all these little arms. But really, it's Hollywood that's monopolizing the whole thing, and Hollywood's going to find a way to monopolize this. I guarantee you. We're going to be back to square one. That's what happens all the time.
The dance goes on.
Exactly. But you got to be clever enough to avoid it. Like Stanley Kubrick, he was clever enough to go, right, I'm this good. You want me? I'm in England. come and get me if you want me, right? And who else did that as well? Michael Jackson did it to a certain point. He was like, you want to interview me? Nah. You know what I mean? I'll tell you when I'm ready to be interviewed. Do you know what I mean? And it was a whole period where nobody could interview Michael Jackson. And then suddenly, he obviously gave that up, stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying. There are ways of doing it. If you're clever, if you believe in your talent, there's ways of doing it, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah.
Boys, have you fallen asleep?
No,
I'm awake.
I'm depressed. I'm depressed.
Why are you depressed?
That's so sad. Like, I want Hollywood to be good.
Yes,
I want movies to be good. I want to go to the theater to be entertained. I don't want to go to the theater to go, this is awful. Why?
Is this Stefobo still in the chat, or did he fall asleep?
I don't know. I haven't seen him in a bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
But no, I want to go to the theater and be like, yes, I love this. This is so good. But like you were saying, like I say, I've talked about this with my wife, like how I see the strings, right?
Yes,
when I'm going to the movie, like I'm seeing the strings of the plot. I'm seeing the strings of the logical problems that we have here and there. How the these things aren't connecting or these things are. And I can't turn that off. Like people are just like, oh, just turn your brain off and enjoy it. And I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. I can't do that. I'm not gonna go and just it's like I had a friend many years ago who was like, oh well, when I go see a summer blockbuster, I just make sure I have a few beers first.
Yeah.
I'm like,
why?
Okay. Well, so that his brain isn't quite working up to speed and he can ignore all the logical inconsistencies and just enjoy the pretty lights and shiny things, right? And it's just
But the problem with cinema today is that, look, right, not enough people. Okay, right. Let me give you an example. Okay, when you go to when I watched E.T. and I came out the cinema after watching it, it stayed with me, right? And the reason why it stayed with me was because Spielberg did a lot of things that subconsciously touched you in your head. I give you one example, right? You remember Jaws? Okay, so there's a scene in Jaws. I've already said this hundreds of times on different podcasts. There's a scene in Jaws where they all get on the boat, the three of them, and they sail off to get the shark. And there's a shot from Quint's house where it's a window and you have the shark teeth on the window, and beyond the window you could see the boat traveling in the water. Now, to anybody else, it's like, oh, that's a nice shot. But what is the shot saying? Subconsciously, it's saying that they're sailing into danger.
Yeah.
And those things were prevalent in 70s movies, 80s movies, 90s movies. Subconsciously, they reach you. And when you come out the cinema, you remember the film because subconsciously the good directors did things like that. If you watch something like Resident Evil, it's just crap. You come out the cinema and you forget everything because it's not being made properly. It's not being made with those things in mind. Now, today's cinema, it's not being made with those things in mind. That's why, and also they can't write scripts. That's why the experience of cinema now is awful. You go and see a film and you forget about it 2 minutes later when you come out of the cinema. The art of making films is being lost.
It is.
And it makes me sad.
We were watching Fallen with Denzel Washington last night. I haven't seen it since like high school. And there's a moment where they foreshadow the twist at the end of the movie. And I was like, wow, I can't remember the last time I saw some movie do something like this. Like,
Mm.
Is that the one that he basically there's like like an evil spirit that possesses
Yeah,
people?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really enjoy like I thought that was a pretty cool movie. I've only
it
seen it
is.
once a really long time ago, but I thought it was very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, even if you go back even further and you watch The Exorcist is so incredibly well directed. It's frightening. Like I remember first seeing that in the cinema, and everything that happened in the film. There was one thing that made me scared, right? And it wasn't the head spinning around or the green pea soup or anything like that. It was the scene in the beginning where Father Mirren's talking to the priest, and he has the little Pazuzu thing in his hand, and the priest says to him, "Evil versus evil," and the clock goes tick tick tick, and it stops, and there's this little bit of silence. That scared the bejesus out of me, and it was
Mm.
just the clock. Do you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
as I'm saying, the art of making horror films and films in general is being lost because people don't because they teach what they teach in film school is not the proper stuff anymore, or small little, because nobody could afford to go film school, let's face it. But anyway.
Well, also the limitations. I feel like we always say make the movie, and when you can just like CG anything in post,
Yes.
you
Yes.
have no consequences for the, and then you can shoot tons of footage, so there's no pressure to get the
Yeah.
best shot.
That's true. That's true as well. But as I said, it's you know, it's a dying art. The art is dying, and I feel so sad for it. As I said, every film I've seen so far, well, Obsession was good, but it showed you exactly what it wanted to show you. I thought it was well
I still
directed.
think Tower Ballad was pretty good. I'm not saying it's the best
I
movie
haven't
that
seen
ever
that.
made,
Yeah.
but in terms of like maybe this year in the theater, it's a movie that knew exactly what it was trying to do. It did it for a very modest budget, relatively speaking, and it felt like, there was a steady hand, behind the camera, whatever you want to call it. I thought it was very well done.
Yeah.
Is Obsession
Yeah.
worth it? Because I keep debating on
It
going to
is.
see it.
It is. It is. Go
It
and see it.
is.
I'm like, I get the concept. Do I really need to go watch it?
It is good. I thought, what was that film with Demi Moore that couple of years ago? Substance. I thought Substance was really well directed and quite disgusting in places, but that's a different type. But at least the art was there. Do you know what I mean? The shots that she gave us.
The problem
it
I
was
had
there.
with Substance is that until the last maybe 10 or 20 minutes of it,
Oh yeah,
I was really into the movie and I thought it was very solid. Liked the directing, liked the visual style, liked everything of the performances, liked everything about it, the idea. The only thing is somehow it got to the last 10 or 20 minutes and it kind of, it tried to go full Cronenberg, like Videodrome or whatever it is, but I didn't think it was necessary. Some people will tell me that they love that's their favorite part in the movie. For
I
me,
liked
once
it.
the last 10, 20 minutes kicked in, drove the movie off a cliff.
Yeah, it turned into a comedy, didn't it, at the end?
Yeah, it did.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Somebody described it as like a new entry into the B movie pantheon, and my wife and I are like, what does that mean? And then that ending hit, and we were like, oh, I get it.
What's that film called? The one where it's meant to be all one long take. It was set in World War One. What was that one called again? It was
not Dunkirk? It was something else.
The other one, the one where it's just
1923, 1935.
yeah, 1923. Right. A lot of people don't. This is the thing. Knowledge is a great thing. A lot of people's like, that was great. Look at the way it was directed. It was all done in one shot. Yeah, they cheated in certain bits, but yeah, the mastery of it all. Sorry, that's bollocks, right? That was a magic trick all the way through that film. That's not what you call directing. That is not what you call artistic, because it was just a magic trick. That's all it was, right? So that's what I don't believe that's directing at all. And I thought the film was okay, but I didn't think it deserved everything that it got thrown at it. Do you know what I mean? I think well-crafted movies is missing today. We need more of that to reach us subconsciously, so we can even something like Gremlins reaches you subconsciously because it has comedy, then it has horror, then it has horrible things, and then it has comedy. Do you know what I mean? So Joe Dante was trying to reach you that way. It's all about trying to reach you in your head. That's all. I mean, Poltergeist is a prime example of that. Poltergeist has some really neat little comedy bits in there if you look closely, and then it has horror, and then it has traditional horror, like with all the skeletons coming out the floor and stuff like that, and when she was in the water, and so that kind of visual horror, whatever, had a mixture. But when you left the cinema, it stayed with you, didn't it? It stayed in your head, and that's the power of movies. It just doesn't happen anymore.
Steven
Maybe I'm just
Spielberg
old.
got into some hot water over Poltergeist. You know that?
He did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yes.
can hear you. So what's up?
Just I don't even think I'm gonna go see this movie now. I was gonna go see it, but now I'm like, you know what? I can keep the $50. I was gonna go see it with somebody. I think we'll just stay in.
Well, it's up to you, isn't it?
Yeah, dude, I did want to tell you, I really liked Normal. I was kind of expecting something like, Nobody, but it's definitely more along the lines of The Beekeeper, like with extra cocaine. When Granny comes out with the shotgun, I'm like, oh, that's what kind of movie. Okay, I get it now, and just rolled with it. It was funny. And Bob Odenkirk is a genius. He was a genius on Mr. Show. He was insanely good on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. The guy, he's so likable. He's got such great screen presence, and he can do comedy, he can do drama, he can do sincere. Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously it's an absurd movie, but it's the kind.
But it was fun. It was a fun movie to watch.
Yeah. Every time, and even the little non-binary girl, I'm like, okay, I can dig her. That's cool. And
it's a good film.
Yeah, like the funniest line. Are we doing spoilers?
Sure, yeah, I don't care. It's already been out for a while.
Yeah, they're in the middle of a bank robber, automatic weapons going on, rocket launcher, and he's like, hey, did you ever get the dog food? And for some reason, I just fucking lost it, man.
No, the thing with Poltergeist, and for people that may not know this, basically Spielberg acted as producer, and he brought, I think, Toby Hooper or whatever his name is to be the director. And rumor has it that Spielberg would show up a lot on set and sit there and seemingly give people instructions on what to do in a way that some people thought that maybe he was sort of acting as at least a second director or an additional director on the movie. And supposedly that was like a no-no. He wasn't allowed to do that. And then like there was all this weird shit around it. But I do believe he was probably sitting there like a second director.
Oh, absolutely. The DGA never liked Spielberg. Toby Hooper directed Poltergeist as much as this guy, whoever his name, directed Supergirl. That's a James Gunn movie. We all know it's a James Gunn movie.
Okay, right. So we don't know whether that's true or not, because Spielberg was actually shooting E.T. when Poltergeist was happening. He did visit the set a couple of times. There's actual pictures of him with all the kids from E.T. and the kids from Poltergeist. There's actual black and white pictures with him. Now, the idea that he actually sat there and told Toby Hooper what to do is not possible, because he was actually directing E.T. at the time. He did come and visit from time to time, and maybe he was trying to give advice to Toby Hooper. That's what he was trying to do. Remember, everything that Toby Hooper shot got edited, right? So I reckon Spielberg had more say in the editing rather than the actual directing itself on the set, in my opinion, because it doesn't make any logical sense. He was shooting E.T. He can't just be in two places at the same time.
From what I'm reading, E.T. was still in pre-production, and he was contractually prohibited from directing Poltergeist, but they say that he was on set almost every day.
Yeah, no,
he was directing he was directing E.T. because there's pictures to prove that he
but E.T. was September to December of 1981, and Poltergeist was shot May to August, so he had plenty of time to do. He
was in pre-production. Yeah, I mean, I think that if nothing else, Spielberg was a co-director. That's what most people feel. I'm not saying that Toby Hooper didn't do anything, but it feels like a co-directing situation.
Yeah. His fingerprints are all over that movie. There's no denying it. Just like James Gunn is all over Supergirl. But
Well, as I said, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But as far as I'm concerned, Poltergeist is a great movie.
Yeah,
It really is a lot
Poltergeist
of
is
fun. Yeah.
amazing. It's brilliant. Like it's almost Back to the Future level. That movie is phenomenal. I think
Yeah.
Poltergeist
Shame about
is one of the
sequels.
greatest movies ever made.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Here's
Really
another question. Do you guys, speaking of nobody knowing how to make movies anymore, have you noticed a lack of quotable quotes in movies anymore?
Absolutely.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't-
because
I
they're
don't-
horribly written.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't know if it's
Oh, wait.
the way that the actors deliver the lines or if the scripts just suck.
No, it's the dialogue. Sean, I'm going to be a dad.
Hey, congratulations!
No, that's actually a TV show, but that's the
Oh,
Last of Us. Bella Ramsey, I'm going to be a dad.
I'm gonna be a dad.
Yeah.
Well, any quotable thing is taking the piss, isn't it, these days? But in the old days, it used to be quotable things because they were cool, you know?
By the
it
way,
was also like the way it was delivered. It was almost like lyrical or sing-songy, like the
Yeah,
way the
yeah.
actor would
Yes,
say something.
It's called Prose. I do want to introduce the Masters of the Universe limited edition collection King Reasonor Price of Reason action figure.
I wanted to ask you if you had another update on the Lego saga.
Let's see. So it looks like they're going to have a TRO hearing in about 2 weeks.
That's a
but in the
temporary restraining order.
Yeah, the gag order. In the meantime, the GoFundMe was restored due to absolute massive amount of public outrage. So they had taken down the GoFundMe. They brought that back. Somebody got a copy of the lawsuit and saw that Bricks and Minifigures is not only suing Reckless Ben, he's suing Brian Mansell, his father, one of the other, like the camera guy, and 15 John Does to be determined later. He's going after every revenue stream that was gained by this. So he's going after his YouTube income, his sponsorship income, his streaming income. They're trying to take the GoFundMes, his t-shirt shop, his merchandise. They're going after all the quote unquote ill-gotten gains coming from his actions against Bricks and Minifigures. That would be like, Microsoft trying to sue all of your grandmas, for not properly registering their copy of Word or something. Like, I can't think of a worse PR move. So,
Oh dear.
and we're getting a whole bunch of legal analysis videos because really not a lot's going to happen until that hearing, except in the LawTuber area where they're all sort of analyzing this stuff and that's coming out. So of course, and they did do another interview talking about they really want to work this out and make Brian Mansell whole, but at the same time, they're suing him and they're trying to take the clothes off his back. So like I said, really bad PR moves.
Oh dear.
Very strange, this whole saga. I wouldn't have known about it if not for you. Like, only.
Oh yeah,
you're an
that's
expert.
funny. It's
Lego,
made the mainstream. It's like hit Megyn Kelly and Greg Gutfeld. Like this has jumped off the internet and has hit like this. This is huge. Like I guess, did we talk Moist Critical? Charlie, he's got some videos. Penguin Zero, Asmongold, who gets a ridiculous like 3 million views of everything he does. It's really quite insane. But so a bunch of big YouTubers that I didn't even expect are doing this as well.
I keep getting recommended videos, and I don't know that I have the energy to find out about it.
Yeah, same here.
I didn't watch any of them, but Ista's been updating us about this Lego story. So now I'm kind of in the know thanks to Ista. But aside from that, didn't watch any Asmongold or any whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's about 6 hours worth of video watching just to get an overview of what's happening. It really is an absurdly large story at this point.
Is Lego going to make a Lego film about it?
I'd watch it.
No, but you know what?
I bet a YouTuber will, though.
Yeah, this is biopic central material, man. I'm surprised somebody hadn't started a TV movie about the Lego scandal already.
Such nonsense.
I mean, you were saying some of these other streamers. I actually don't have time to really watch a lot of streams these days. I watch. I'm trying to think if I watch any streams at all. Don't really have time. I don't know if
I
you
do.
guys you get a chance to listen to a lot of them. I really don't.
If
I watch
listen- Go ahead.
I watched this one called Price of Reason, where he's doing things like Stargate and stuff. I don't know if you know him. and I watch Gary because I like his newness. I think he talks a lot of sense. So I have him in the background. I listen if you don't. And who else do I? And Ian Brown. I listen to the stream I'm on the next day. So those three I watch.
I listen if I'm on that stream or I'm on this stream. I'm listening to it while I'm on it. I don't even think I listen to it later, but at least while I'm here, I listen to it.
Well, I've basically replaced my audiobooks because I've listened to all the books I have, and people aren't writing decent new books worth of crap. So I've replaced them. I basically do videos like podcasts. I listen to them while I'm, doing laundry, household chores and stuff. I can't really do that stuff if I don't have something going on. But I forgot the biggest update. And this was kind of really cool news. So the actual citizens of Utah have latched onto this story, and they had this enormous amount of public outrage. They had a couple of town council meetings where just regular citizens went up and started going on about how unfair this is and how ashamed they are of their state and their city. I don't know what the equivalent of a state council meeting, but it was something. There was a city one and a statewide one, and it created so much public outrage and people calling their representatives that the state is now putting the American Fork Police Department under investigation. I don't know if anything will come with it, but to me, that's absolutely unheard of. That's kind of amazing and kind of cool that the citizens actually rose up and said, hey, this just doesn't sound right. We don't want to live this way. We want the law to treat people equally. And so they said they're going to investigate all of the legal and law enforcement machinations going on behind this. Now, I know what some people will say, that they're from Utah too, so they'll look like they're, we checked ourselves and determined we did nothing wrong kind of thing. But I don't know, maybe. You never know.
So apparently, I see that Cosmic Book News, I think they were quoting Puck or something like that. And they're quoting them that I guess teens think that Disclosure Day is for boomers. That's why they're not going to see it. But the truth is, I think that's an insult to boomers, because I think that boomers and they like Spielberg's classic sci-fi movies wouldn't necessarily enjoy this one. Do you get what I'm saying? So this is actually a shitty thing to say. Fuck them kids.
But the thing is though, these kids, they don't know what they like. I mean, the only things they like is TikTok and their phone and texting and stuff like
they're
that.
Stupid.
Yeah, they like Minecraft and Skibbity Toilet.
Right.
The problem with
Michael Bay.
The problem with today's kids is patience. They don't have enough patience. Or the biggest thing with them, because I have loads of nephews and nieces, is that they don't want to put the work in to reach to the conclusion. That's the main problem with them. So if it comes to a film, they want to watch the highlights of the film. They don't want to start from the beginning to the end. They don't want to take the journey. They suffer from ADHD. That's the bottom line. They have a generational ADHD. They have to look at a bunch of things flashing in their face with the phone, and they're dumb and stupid and annoying. I think they could learn that, though. That's the thing. I think. Look,
they can learn not to annoy me. That's a stretch.
No. Look. What's that thing Ian keeps saying? Oh, that's my. What is it?
You are Ian.
No, the other Ian Brown. When he keeps saying that if we have 5 people, it's a bit odd. What's it called again? The
OCD.
OCD.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, right? OCD is rubbish. It's crap. Yes, I do believe people do suffer from it, but majority of people that scream OCD, fuck, that's crap. Honestly, it really is the same
I
thing
do
with
think
these
Brown
kids
has
as
it.
well.
I do. Think
I
Brown-
don't think
Oh.
so. No way,
No,
Jose.
it's a
No
real thing,
way.
and it can be
I don't
debilitating
care.
in extreme cases. I wanted to ask Professor R2, do you do anything with cognitive neuroscience and media psychology? Is that part of your? Okay.
No, I do know someone though that does genuinely have OCD. Like has had to go
Right.
to had medication and had to do like it's not physical therapy. I can't remember what they call it. But learning to work through like the
like
issues that.
Occupational
Like
therapy.
occupational therapy kind of thing,
yeah.
Something like that. But like,
Okay.
it can be very debilitating. Yeah.
Yeah, but also, Ian, I wanted to tell you, there's a thing called media psychology. Our technology doesn't just change our habits. It actually changes how the human brain processes information. For a good example, before television, people actually thought and memorized things differently. And television actually changed the way that we use our brains. We use it much more visually. We think in images. Like that's not how they did it, back in the day. So the more advanced the technology, the more effect it has on your actual neuroprocessing. So now they're starting to discover that TikTok, things like social media and TikTok, are having a much larger effect on kids' brains than even initially thought. It is absolutely changing how they process information.
And
I don't
speaking about
doubt it.
processing information, if you haven't yet subbed to this channel, sometimes people get here from my other channels and they don't realize that they haven't subbed to this one. So if you're on YouTube and you haven't clicked subscribe, do it. You should do it because I feel like people are watching and they think they're subscribed, but they're not really subscribed. And then on Rumble, which is our headquarters and the platform for freedom of speech, you should absolutely sign up if you haven't signed up for Rumble yet, and then click follow. And you should do that right away. Sorry, now go on, Ista.
No, that was a brilliant segue. Absolutely,
That was
masterful.
word from our sponsor.
Yeah. So, just some of the concerns is that AI is actually going to teach people to actually stop using their brains, and the only thing people will be able to do is sort of remember, how they got AI to get the answer in the first place. I didn't realize this, but people are actually like using AI to have relationships. Like, what do I tell my wife today? Or, how do I ask the boss for a raise and shit like that? It's crazy, but I think it's teaching people not to use their brains. And that's kind of a scary thought.
Mm-hmm.
It is a scary thought.
I have
Very
OCD,
scary.
but it only occurs when I'm going out the door and suddenly I have to check that I turned everything off 10 times.
That's not OCD. That's just forgetting stuff.
I will be like out in the
Yeah.
parking lot and come all the way back because I can't remember putting
Yeah.
the lock or the key in the lock.
No, that's just being forgetful and having anxiety. And
Yeah.
I feel you, Sean. I
You know
feel
what's
you.
worse?
I'm right
You know
there.
what's worse?
I had my friends that used to say like, oh, he needs to go back inside and floss the carpet first before we can leave because you're always like, oh no, oh wait, do I have my keys? Do I have my wallet? Do I have this? Do I have that? Did I remember to turn this off? Yeah, did I remember to check that? Did I lock the back door? Did I? I feel you.
Do you know what's worse though? When you're in the supermarket and suddenly you're buying stuff and then you get home and then your brain goes toothpaste and you're
Son
like,
of a bitch.
son of a bitch, why didn't you tell me toothpaste when I was in the bloody supermarket? Damn it. Yeah. So that's really annoying as well. The brain's a strange thing, isn't it? Let's face it.
Yep.
Yeah. I had an uncle that if you went to visit him, you talk for 5-10 minutes, it's fine. But the longer you were there, you could see he was getting more and more agitated. And what he was waiting for you to leave so he could move the chair so the holes of the legs of the chair went back into the carpet indentations. Mm-hmm. And the longer you sat in that chair and they weren't there, he would really start to lose it. If you look at his drawer, all of his change is like stacked by size and in order. He took the keys off his key ring every time and would lay them across the end table, the boomerang, the little end table kind of thing by the door, and put them in order of height. Like it was pretty debilitating for him. So it is a real thing.
I know it's a real thing. I'm not disputing that, but
Oh, okay.
people that say they have it, and you're like, I doubt it. I mean, some people like to say they have all these things, so that I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, well, self-diagnosis is another that's a condition in itself. Where, yeah, and that's the thing. Everybody, all the people bringing their dogs to the airport, their security animals or whatever support animals. The people that say they have, PTSD, there's far too much self-diagnosis going on in this country and probably others as well.
It's weird, isn't it? This whole place is just weird. It's like kids can go now dress like a teddy bear and say they're a teddy bear now, and then what the hell?
Are you saying I'm not allowed my emotional sport chicken? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, are you with hot sauce?
I don't know.
Because I have emotional support chicken wings about once a week, and they are delicious.
There was a student on our campus not long ago who had an emotional support pig.
Really?
No joke.
Wow.
Oh, is that what she called her boyfriend?
Do you know what? The kids can be taught patience. They can be taught this stuff. The thing that's really annoying is that every time, like say I'm in a hospital waiting room or a doctor's waiting room or anywhere, you see a kid crying, the mother just immediately takes their phone, puts something on the phone and give it to the kid. And it's like, that's not the right way to treat them. If they're crying, right, you have to find some ways for them to shut them up. Do you know what I mean? Not immediately give them something so that every time they cry, they know they're gonna get that phone. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's discipline. You got to discipline.
Yeah, not only can they be taught patience, they need to be taught patience, and that's what parents aren't doing. Exactly. They are teaching people will do whatever they're incentivized to do. That goes from grown-ups to children and everybody else. And if you incentivize your kid to have a temper tantrum, have you ever watched these body cam videos of the cop pulling over the crazy screaming woman? They act that way because they've been taught their whole life that that's the way to act to get what you want. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't work with Officer Bob over here. So, but I don't know when this started, but it has to do with the era of participation trophies for sure. Kids are no longer being taught patience. They're not being taught that you don't win them all. They're not being taught that you have to work, and mostly delayed gratification. They're not being taught.
The beatings will continue until morale improves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Is it Kira Runte? Kira. I don't know. Probably saying it wrong. Brought up something that is one of my absolute pet peeves in the chat. I absolutely. You know what? If you have dogs and you love your dog, that's awesome. If you like cats, you have cats you love, that's fine. If you call yourself a parent because you have a frickin' cat or a dog, F you. I'm sorry. It pisses me off. I'm a dog parent. It's like, no, you have a pet. You do not have a child. You are not a parent.
Or
Screw you.
A fur mom or
fur
something.
baby.
Yeah,
it's my fur baby.
Yeah.
I just want to backhand people. Like, it just drives me nuts.
Listen, I get that the love of pets is real, but it's nothing like raising
nothing.
I wouldn't say that they can say that they're the parents of the cats or dogs. That's very weird. But you could still like your dog or cat. I mean,
of course.
I love them. Yes,
part of the family.
I love cats. I love dogs. I've had to, I've lost animals. I've had to put my absolute beloved, my first cat, that I had to put her down, and I was a blubbering mess because she was my best friend for some of the loneliest years of my life, some of the most difficult years of my life, and it was so hard to deal with that loss. I mean, yeah, we love our pets. We take care of them. We give them the best lives we can. But you're not a parent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just
Oh,
not
that's for
the
sure.
same.
You know, you're not
Yeah.
a parent.
Cats raise themselves, and dogs are done in about 6 months. But
Yeah.
raising a kid takes
Yeah, I
a
know.
minimum 18 freaking years. Oh,
Do you remember when you were a kid and you did something wrong, and all your dad had to do was look at you,
Mhm.
and you would
Yeah.
stop? You
no,
would
but
stop.
he never just looked at me, unfortunately. But oh, Ian, do you remember that Spielberg? You were talking about Close Encounters earlier. So magnificent movie, masterclass of opening where they go in the desert and see those Grumman Avengers.
Oh,
He
yeah, it's
said
amazing.
he made that before he had kids, and he regrets that
Yes.
Roy Neary wouldn't have abandoned his family like that. And I just saw the interesting perspective.
I think he would have. There's no way you would take that journey and not get on that ship. That was
Mhm.
the whole point. And his wife wasn't supportive at all. Let's face it.
No, but
So-
she had a little bit of a reason to be unsupportive too. I
No,
mean,
well,
it's a brilliant
yeah, I
portrayal of
guess.
family life there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he says that. Yeah, I guess he has a point, but I still think Roy
Yeah.
Neary would have. If I was Roy Neary, I would have got on that ship. There's no
he
way. I
might
wouldn't have got that.
he might have gone, but he would have made provisions and conditions for his family. He just wouldn't have. He was
If
like,
he
make
comes
sure to.
back,
Yeah.
if he comes back,
Yeah.
all his kids will be older, and he'll still be young, wouldn't he? If he comes back.
When little Barry runs out and jumps into his mom's arms, it still hits me right. I'm like,
Yeah,
oof.
it's very good. It's very,
Yeah.
That film, the best directed scene in that film is air traffic control scene. If you look at that air traffic control scene when they're talking about the airplane missing a UFO, that is fucking awesome. The way he directs that, it's incredible.
Yeah, we don't want to report one of those either.
Really, really incredible directing. And as I said, you look, I don't know about your knowledge about directing, but if you do have a basic knowledge about directing, watch that scene again. No one can tell me that's not directed incredibly well. Incredibly well. You just got to look at the shots and look at the stuff that he does.
Yeah, absolutely.
That guy's a genius. He's a genius.
I know something of visual storytelling. I didn't go to film school, but I did go to a fancy art school where I took film classes, and
I didn't go to film school either.
my teacher was obsessed with Sam Peckinpah, so we had some interesting classes.
I like Sam Peckinpah. I think he's a good director as well. Brian De Palma is a brilliant director. He started copying Hitchcock, but then suddenly he became his own man. And when he directed the first Mission Impossible film, that is direction beauty. If you look at that film very carefully, even though on the surface it looks like an action film, look at all the shots he gives you. That winding staircase shot, just beautiful. You could freeze that frame and hang it up, hang it up on your wall.
That movie is still underrated as hell. That is a fantastic movie. It took me a couple viewings to really get it. But Blowout is my favorite.
I like Blowout too, and
Man,
The Untouchables.
Yeah,
Untouchable's terrific. Look at the way Untouchables
Wait, who directed Scarface?
Brian De Palma.
So also De Palma, right?
Brian De Palma.
You got that's also a movie that I like. I like Scarface. I like The Untouchables. I like Blowout. And what's the fourth one that you were saying? There was another one.
Wait, Scarface, Untouchables,
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible. Yeah,
I like all those movies.
Yeah, the first Mission Impossible is great.
Yeah, the worst thing they did for that movie was to show the helicopter tunnel scene on the ad. It fucking ruined it. If you just saw that in the theater, you'd be like, "Holy crap!"
But I love Untouchables, right? Look at the way the films used to start in those days, 80s and 90s. They used to grab you in the first frame. After all those credits happen, Untouchables, what do we get? We get that one frame that goes bang, and we're looking down at Al Capone in the barber's chair, and you have the writing next to him on the right hand side, which is a perfectly great frame. Then the writing disappears and the camera goes down, and he unwraps the thing off his face, and we know it's Robert De Niro. That is a start. That is a fucking great start.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you like Sergio Leone?
I love him. He's great as well.
because he's the reason that Clint Eastwood is the director that he became too. The guy actually paid attention. He was, and he learned, and Don Siegel too, but I think it started with Sergio, because I love Eastwood. He's one of the few directors that's still making really good movies well into his elder years. And
Leone knew how to use that camera, use the whole frame, and just fill it with beauty and tension and drama, just in the way that he would frame his shots. Just God, love the Leone.
If you look at Jaws, right, when they're on the boat, Spielberg always does a 3-shot. You know, it's a 24, it's a 25, and then the camera goes right up to what's his name, Richard Dreyfuss. All three of them are in the frame. Today, you'll have one cut, wide shot, one cut, one cut. You know what I mean? That is not that's not directing. That's just A to B directing. Do you know what I mean? So it's all there. But Spielberg knows how to do one shot that encompasses all of the frames. Do you know what I mean? So again, I can't stress how beautiful films were in the 80s and the 90s and the 70s. They were really terrific.
Professor, to your point, when I first got my big 100-inch projector, I had people over, my sponsees over. I just got the Blu-ray for The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, and I showed it for them. And a lot of younger, not kid, I call them kid, 20, 30-year-olds, they've never seen it. They just shit themselves at the opening scene of that movie. It's like, we got to see Lawrence of Arabia next, because you guys really haven't seen good movies.
You get the Dollars trilogy. I mean, it's so just amazing. The way he uses the frame, the way he uses the camera. Just captures so much, and it's amazing.
Even close in, like when Lee Van Cleef is building his revolver on the counter.
Yes,
the way the camera is swinging back and forth and up and down, and then he like I said, visual storytelling. It's a lost art. They don't even know how to do it in comic books anymore as a visual medium.
No,
and that's why the stuff Sean showed us the other week was so good.
There needs to be purpose in the way that you're designing a shot, when you're doing something, and they just don't. It's just now it's all just, we're just going to use the camera to just sort of capture these people talking to each other, and it's like, no, the way that you capture them, the angles that you use say something about their emotional state or how those two people relate to each other. I think Ian was on with me when we started doing Star Trek VI with Mr. Brown like 3 years ago. When we were talking about the scene where they finished with this conference where they're talking about the Klingons and everything, and we've got Spock, who's very much wants to help save the Klingons, and we've got Kirk, who's very much against it, and then the way that they're shooting him with the huge gulf of distance between them, standing at the ends of this distant table, and how Spock is consistently being shot in light, and Kirk is consistently being shot in the dark, and it's showing that their emotional state and the gulf between them and how they feel about this situation, and that's set up in the way that it's filmed. It's given to you visually.
Yeah, a lot of people won't recognize it, but subconsciously,
subconsciously,
exactly.
Subconsciously, those things connect with you.
As Mr. Plinkett says, you may not know it, but your brain does. And there's a reason every picture you see of an old school director, they have that big honking viewfinder hanging from around their neck, because they use it to frame every scene, and everything is planned. I hate the word intentionality. it's just say intention, right? But that's the thing. You have a purpose. They're constantly thinking about the shots in terms of framing and looking through that viewfinder. And nowadays you just see them holding a caramel macchiato, it seems like.
Yeah.
What about the shot that always amazes me in Raiders of the Lost Ark is when Marion gets kidnapped. And he's shouting, Marion, Marion. And there's that scene where he runs down the corridor. Then he turns. Then he runs towards the camera. There's a huge shot of his eyes. You don't know what he's looking at. Then the camera pulls back, and there's all these baskets that he doesn't know where Marion is in. And that's what I'm saying. Now he was shooting that off the fly. He was shooting that off the cuff, Spielberg. And that's again, I can't stress how much of a genius this man is to come up with something like that wasn't in the script, right? To shoot it that way, you have to know what you're doing. You have to have that sense of actually trying to bring the audience in. And he did it wonderfully in that sequence. So
even just mundane shots, like at the beginning of that, I was watching someone break down how the characters move when he's talking to Marcus Brody at his house, and they're talking about going to get the Ark, and just the camera movement, and then where the characters move across.
It's called a wanna.
Yeah, I've never really paid too much attention to it, but I'm just like, that would take like a serious amount of time just to break down to tell them how to move.
Yeah.
Where does the camera go? Where do the actors go? How does the lighting work to make sure that each of them is properly lit and they're different, the different places that they're going to. Yeah, it takes a lot of work, and filmmakers just don't put that in anymore. They just don't put in the time.
I did.
Yeah, I'm not saying all of them, but the big filming, the ones that are making the big films in Hollywood right now, the ones that are making these TV shows, they're so poorly lit, they're so poorly shot, they're so poorly, framed and blocked. It's pathetic.
It's
really is.
Frequently a topic my wife and I we just hate the Netflix lighting, and even it all being shot digitally. I'm like, I miss film grain so much. I want to see cigarette burns in the corner. I want to see all that stuff.
Believe it or not, Netflix has determined that piss filter is what looks the best on all of the variety of devices their viewers use in aggregate. So they've determined that everything needs to be shot like that. But Spielberg has this habit. He didn't used to use storyboards most of the time, and it's even more amazing that he would get those shots, like, because he had it in his head like John Carpenter, but I think his habit of not doing that is catching up with him as he maybe gets a little older.
He did have storyboards when he was directing Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, for effect shots and complex ones.
For everything. Really? But he was directing so fast that he actually beat the people building the set in London. So he finished wherever, I can't remember where they were shooting. He finished a week before because he was directing so fast. And when they got to London, the set wasn't even built. Do you know what I mean? They were still building it. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. But the thing is, he does for Raiders of the Lost Ark. He did a lot of shortcuts. He had loads of storyboards, but he did a lot of shortcuts to actually move faster. Because remember, the last film he made before Raiders of the Lost Ark, he went overboard and the budget went over, and the studios didn't like that. So he was trying to prove a point when he teamed up with George Lucas that he could direct fast. There's loads of continuity errors in Raiders of the Lost Ark if you look closely. That's because he was directing so fast. He just wanted to get out that country because everybody was sick. Do you know what I mean? So he just wanted to get out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Jaws, I remember seeing a tweet this week where I guess millennials or young Gen, I don't know, whoever the young ones are, they say Jaws is boring. And I couldn't wrap my head around that. That movie is incredible.
I've been wanting to watch it again recently. Probably because summer's coming.
Yeah.
Well,
tis the season.
Yeah.
Christmas movies.
As I said, right, there is a beauty to directing, and a lot of people can't see it. But unfortunately, I've been bitten. I was bitten, the directing bug. I was bitten when I was a kid, when I was in my teens, and I can't not see it anymore. Every movie I see, I try to find it. If it's not there, then I get upset, and I don't know. I'm just too close to films in it these days. I shall get a life one day.
No, man, but
yeah.
I haven't rewatched Jurassic Park in a while. Maybe I need to go back and.
That's well directed.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
Very, very well directed.
Yeah, I had a tertiary involvement with that. Some of the custom plugins that they made for Electric Image and Lightwave for the dinosaur effects. One of my companies was doing some of the back-end engineering for those plugins.
I'll tell you what, I can understand why somebody would think maybe if they compare it to more modern movies, Jaws, sort of the pacing is slower than what you would see in like a modern day blockbuster. But a lot of those blockbusters wouldn't even exist without Jaws.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
yeah. People who give Spielberg no respect, everything you love wouldn't exist without him. And even like Normal, it took a really long time for that movie to ramp up, but the character work it was doing as it was doing so is just really well done. It's not just slow, that's not wasted time. Things are happening. They're just not action things, but
Right.
really.
And speaking of well done, I also want to point out that on Rumble we had Istophobos gaming stuff, Double R Star, Nephilim Slayer, Joe Higachi, Elizabeth Quince, Born to Be Down, Deeple 101, Darren Mai, Folsom Lockdown, K Burton 1, High Plains Drifter 1, Dude Bro Seth 420. I wish Phantom Monk was here because I want to look for a raid, but give me a second. You guys talk for a second, or Professor.
Well, I'll go ahead and give you the visitors over here on YouTube. We had the lovely Sherry, Inku, Brian Norton, Marcus 47, Julie Evans, Jimmy Dennis, Samsung, One Dirty Bird, Adrian Veit, Adam Jones, Georges Irex, Corbin Greiner, Carlos Delfino, IF Nerdick, JWG Jembe, Echo 32, Echo 7, Malachi D. Wildman, Captain Palsy, Rebecca Gold, Lewis Berry, Jonathan Conroy, Marla Sharondoff, AMSSS, Darren M., Lucius Mao, Angry Sparrow 1, iLord Corey, Adam Gray, The Real Sean Crummel, Emperor Goodwin, Badfoot, Kuna Ritchie, Kirarunte, Phantom Outsider, Trev Toon Art, Granola Grin, Sagacious 6, The Real Head Case, Kodo Rob, Gavin Unit, Tomahawk 511, Caleb Levine, Big Sur River, Istophobos, and Jason Webster. And we did have one super chat from Jason Webster for an Australian 5. Thank you, Jason Webster, for the support this evening.
Cheers.
Tomahawk, come on, Price, take it to 4 a.m. It's barely midnight here in LA. We do the best we can. I think Istophobos has disappeared.
Oh, no, I'm still here. I just wanted to make sure I was looking for my other action figure. I didn't want to inadvertently flash something wrong on the screen.
I see.
My actual picture. Yeah.
I put all the links for everybody. I put while you guys were talking, I put Ian's Rebecca, the Mega Geek Rebecca Gold channel, which you should subscribe to. I put Professor and Ist. I put their X account. I put Sean his comics that you could buy at Crumbs Comics. I put all of those things and kind of highlighted what it is. Fistophobos. That's funny. In any case,
I feel obligated to say that I really like Minority Report.
Yeah, it's well directed.
I thought Minority Report was pretty good.
Yeah. I thought it would have been.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, I thought it would have been a much better movie if the wife, as soon as she went into Max von Sydow's office to confront him, all of a sudden the cops came crashing through the windows and the movie ended. But that would have been a fantastic ending for that.
Well, I think that we've gone over a lot of interesting topics today, and it's been fun as usual. And I want to thank Professor for being the co-host,
of course,
as always, and to thank our guests, Ian the Mega Geek. Thank you for joining us. It's the Phobos and the Real Sean Crummel.
You're welcome. Always good fun.
Is there a false one? If he's real, where's the false one? He's the real one.
So I guess on this very positive note here, we'll sign off. And today is Thursday, and we'll see you here on Tuesday. Like we always do on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The Night Owl, 11:45 p.m. Eastern, and we'll see you Tuesday.
Friday over here. It's Friday over here.
Friday here now.
It's Friday here.
Friday for me also.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we'll see you all later.
Good night, everyone. Sweet
care.
dreams.
Ta-da.
Bye.